Welcome into Sportstime. Bryant and Brett with you on this Tuesday afternoon. Darian Newsom producing for us. We're Sportstime, and we're with you for the next 3 hours as Week 1 of the NFL is completely done as the 49ers get a big win over the Jets last night at home. We'll recap a lot of the NFL weekend. We'll continue to recap the college football weekend. A busy show today. But Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm doing great, and that was fun to see the NFL back. It's fun to see Aaron Rodgers back last night. Brock Purdy was good. There were a couple of flutter balls in the second half, but the first time during the Brock Purdy mania, I thought, oh, no, and even Troy Aikman and Joe Buck commented on a couple of those, but he was in control most of the game. Threw into coverage a little bit, I think, maybe a little overreach, trying to force it in, and why would you with that offensive line, with that run game, those receivers, just let the game come to you like he has most of his very successful career.
Yeah, no, he absolutely has. And you know, I think just to have Aaron Rodgers back from that injury, I thought, looked good. And I think at times was kind of, trying to get throws out early to try to keep away from hits. But, this guy at the end of the day is one of the best. I just thought the game plan offensively for the Jets was not the best. They couldn't get the run game going, and that really hurt them. And, it really felt like a lot of the night they were really just trying to target Garrett, and, San Francisco had eyes all over him. But on the other side, San Francisco, we talked about Christian McCaffrey being injured. That news came out right before we got off the air, about 5:50 or so. And for Jordan Mason to just step in like no big deal and have the big game he did, I think continues to highlight that offensive system that Kyle Shanahan has in San Francisco and how easy it is to plug and play guys. And now it sounds like Christian McCaffrey might be out for a couple more weeks, so maybe we'll see a lot more of this Jordan Mason fella.
Let him get good and well. Darren and I were talking before we came on. It just highlights how long this year is. We're so glad it's here. We're so glad it started. We're a long way from Super Bowl week in New Orleans.
Oh, no, a long way. A lot will happen between now and then.
Never mind the physicality of it, and never mind the meeting aspect of it. Never mind the hours that every team will spend in respective buildings. But for two teams that will meet in Super Bowl 59, just the number of times they'll stretch and get loose between now and Super Bowl week.
A lot of stretching, Brett. When you're a professional athlete, you gotta stretch out. You gotta make sure you're well stretched. But it was fun last night. A good game.
It sure was.
But I will say this: I mentioned Jordan Mason, the great game he had, finished with 147 yards and a touchdown. But I think probably this week he'll be going through some media PR training classes after.
He absolutely will.
He
absolutely will.
ESPN trying to play for just learning 2 hours, an hour before the game that you're the starting running back. Yeah. How did that feel? And
I'm going to Disneyland.
He goes, well, I found out Friday that I was going to be the
I bought extra tickets. I told my mom.
And then somebody very quickly after that from the 49ers was like, what are you doing? That was not the right answer, because he was asked again by the local media in his press conference afterwards, so when did you learn that you were going to be the starting running back? And he was like, I'm not answering that question. It's already got me in trouble.
Did you hear Shanahan's answer?
No.
Shanahan put his on the assistant coach. Maybe an assistant coach tried to hype him up, but I didn't say a thing to him.
Maybe an assistant said, be ready. We don't know what's going to happen with Christian McCaffrey. Just be ready to be the starter. And he took it like he's going to be the starter. Yeah, that's Kyle Shanahan trying to
They're going to find that infamous post on social media that says, I'm going hard Sunday. And they'll shut him down. PR training.
And in all seriousness, his only fumble of the night. But for the 49ers organization, they could be getting a fine from the league on fibbing to the injury report.
Fully expected.
And that's what I said about the SEC injury report, Brian. We know there's going to be skullduggery and 100%. Tomfoolery and chicanery and maybe some pure D fibbing.
Oh, yeah. No, you're absolutely going to see it, especially when it's so brand new like it is in the SEC. You'd think all those coaches
I didn't know we were supposed to tell that.
Yeah, let's completely play by the rules. Let's have a big meeting before the season and know exactly how we're supposed to do this. No, it's going to be a process.
Brian, you make a great point there. When we're just now getting some coordinates on tiebreaker.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm anybody in the SEC, I played this year out Dumbo. I didn't know I was supposed to tell that.
Oh, exactly.
Your guy has a broken leg. Well, I didn't know if I was supposed to tell. Do we need an X-ray? What do you need?
Exactly. Yeah. No, you're going to see a lot of that throughout, especially when we get more into conference play and stuff like that. You're going to see a whole bunch of that.
So, Darian, are you ready to retire number 24 for Jordan Mason? Are you buying a jersey?
Of course not. We're just ready to put him in bubble wrap for 3 or 4 weeks. That's all. Just like you said, it's a long season.
I would not know this. There's never been a great 24 in Niners history. Former Memphis Showboat Harry Sidney wore 24 for a little while.
Shout out Harry.
Yeah.
Good for him. But no great 24s. Maybe the future great.
Mississippi State running back Anthony Dixon wore it for a while. But there you go. It could be him. Delvin Williams, real good back in the 70s, mostly with the Dolphins, though.
Yeah. I will say this, though. After watching that game last night for the Jets, they got to get a Hassan Reddick deal done. I mean, you need him out there on that defensive line.
He just got a little more leverage last night, didn't he?
Oh, man. All the leverage he could ever need came last night because, the Jets defense looked okay. But yeah, you could definitely tell they were missing somebody on that defense.
But according to the broadcast team last night, they were saying that Jets defensive player says that they haven't spoken with him.
Really?
No, yeah.
Wow, interesting. See, I was on the Manning cast most of the night last night. They had Bill Belichick on. He's going to be a guest.
How was he?
He was good.
Was he loose?
He was loose. The only thing I would say is they were and I didn't watch a ton of the Manning cast last year. I think I watched like the first couple weeks and then didn't really worry about it anymore. But a lot of people I saw on Twitter were saying that last year they had this big problem where the audio between Peyton and Eli and their guest was not fully synced. And so there was a slight delay there when, the guest is hearing the question and then trying to answer. And it's kind of more of a delay for Peyton and Eli. And so with Bill Belichick, every question he was asked, he would kind of, well, and then, Peyton and Eli would both get a little, like, oh, is he going to answer? Dead air is not good. And they would kind of start speaking and kind of speaking over him. But all in all, I thought it was a good broadcast. I thought Bill Belichick was really good. He was loose. He was, talking about a lot of these players and kind of breaking them down and breaking down offensive schemes and stuff like that. So I enjoyed it. But I think I watched that through the first half and then went back over to the main broadcast for the second half.
I was main broadcast the whole way because I prefer that, especially with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, as in the early days of the Manning cast. And right now, with DirecTV, I'm still in ESPN purgatory.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and makes it hard for a lot of people. And I was reading a story yesterday about how, the Disney was using that as bait yesterday to kind of try to dangle in front of DirecTV, saying, look, if there's gonna be a lot of people that want to watch this game tonight, and you need us, and guess it didn't work out.
They didn't need them week one, did they?
No, they didn't. So we'll see. But very weird situation with DirecTV and Disney that I learned from this story a lot deeper and could be a lot bigger issue to try to get resolution than Comcast was last year.
Did that story indicate that they think this could be for the long haul?
Yes. It 100% did. Because and I didn't even realize this, the thing that I was talking about is with Comcast, they have, like, if you have Comcast television, when you pull up your television, there is a section that comes up. I don't know exactly when it comes up, but it gives you access through Comcast to access streaming services. And so Comcast last year was able to use that in negotiation of, well, look, Disney, you have Disney Plus as a streaming service, you have ESPN Plus as a streaming service. If we get this deal done, we can really push those streaming services to our viewers, and that helps you on the back end. DirecTV doesn't have that. And if you just get on DirecTV, it's just television. And so they don't have that access to really push streaming. So this story was saying that it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to kind of lower that price that Disney wants and kind of reach a negotiation than what Comcast did. And it took Comcast a while to get everything resolved last year.
Now, next Monday night, I think it's ESPN only, isn't it?
Oh, really?
The Monday night broadcast.
I am not positive.
And then I think we go back-to-back weeks where there's a doubleheader, one on ESPN, one on ABC, so you'll get something. I promise you, I don't mind it because I love listening to Monday Night Football. I talked yesterday about a lot of years listening to Hank Stram and Jack Buck,
Sure.
and I would prefer to watch it, but I like listening right here too.
Yeah.
When I can, I do on Thursday night. And
Absolutely.
I'm fine by it.
Yeah, I mean it's really good. I think all those broadcasts.
Not hurting me on
are
the
great.
weekend because I'm gone, so I'm
Sure.
not in front of
Exactly.
the TV.
Exactly.
If I last Saturday morning, if I'd been at home and I missed it at the hotel, but
Sure.
it didn't kill me. Now Big Noon came on extra early last week, didn't it?
Did it? I don't know. I don't even know what time Big Noon starts. If I'm being honest.
I thought it usually started at 9, but it was on in the 8 a.m. hour on Fox 13.
Maybe Fox knows what they're doing. They're saying, hey, a lot of people can't get ESPN right now.
And I'll say it again. Have you ever seen a more complicated TV era?
Oh man, it is from start to finish. It is extremely complicated, Brett.
And they bring my bill in on a forklift.
They absolutely do. And then you have to deal with these type of negotiations and not being able to get certain channels. It's frustrating.
I'd wait.
It's
I
very
listen to the radio.
Sure, absolutely. And like you said,
I listened to the LSU USC. No, I watched it. What game did I watch? I listened to Boston College Network.
Yeah, that's right. Because you were talking
Against
about that
FSU.
last week. That's exactly right. But no, I mean, you mentioned it. All of the NFL broadcasts that we carry, we're the home of the NFL here at Sports 56. They are all fantastic. So Thursday nights, Sundays, all day Sunday, and then Monday nights. We've got you covered with all of the NFL action. But we're going to talk a ton of NFL today. Bo Marchant's going to join us later to discuss everything he saw in week one. We're also going to get to what we learned after the weekend in both college basketball and the NFL. But Brett, with just a couple minutes before we need to set up the show and get to top and not top story, what was your biggest takeaway or biggest overreaction to week one of the NFL season?
I think the resurgence of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, he was really good.
And that he can really be counted on, and you conflate that with, it feels like any day now, Deshaun Watson will be suspended, released, more
as he should,
more inactivity for him with the Browns, and Baker Mayfield with the Browns. I think 2 or 3 under 500 as a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
And that wasn't good enough for the Browns after all they had been through. And he had to bounce around. Those games with the Rams, those games with the Panthers. He's found a home in Tampa.
No, he definitely has, and he was really good in week one, like you mentioned. And I saw on, I guess it was Twitter yesterday, that a local Cleveland sports show was taking callers about the Browns and their loss to Dallas. And someone called in, and they said, I'm going to give you 2 numbers, and that's pretty much all I'll give you, and I'll let y'all decide what you think about it. And he gave Deshaun Watson's QBR in week one and Baker Mayfield's QBR in week one. And obviously, Baker's was way better than Deshaun Watson, and the host of the show lost his mind. He was like, I'm tired of hearing about Baker Mayfield. I knew he was good in week one. So, I mean, it feels like a lot of people up in Cleveland.
Went to the playoffs last year. It wasn't just 1 week.
People are missing them, and I think, it's with Cleveland. I mean, I remember the store in Cleveland that had the jersey in their front, in this front stand, and it just had tape with new quarterback names going all the way down. And so, I mean, they cannot catch a break with quarterbacks. And then you've got a Baker Mayfield that came in. I was like, okay, maybe he can do something. You let him go. You bring in Deshaun Watson. And a lot of people are going, okay, this is the answer. Cleveland finally has a quarterback, and Baker Mayfield's down in Tampa doing a really nice job now. And Deshaun Watson comes in with just so many issues and so many problems.
Franchise, wrecks his life.
Exactly, and then goes out on the field and can't play either. I mean, it's rough.
I tell you, a Cleveland Browns, something I enjoyed Sunday on satellite radio, twirling around trying to find games to listen to, driving back from St. Louis. Do you know who the voice of the Cleveland Brown radio network is? Andrew Siciliano.
Is he really?
Yeah, who was great on Red Zone for years.
Absolutely.
Scott Graham kind of took that role over for that, but Andrew Siciliano, play-by-play guy for the Cleveland Browns.
How about that? Busy year for Siciliano. He was also on a lot of the Olympics coverage.
He was
for Peacock.
Big Ten football.
That's right. So very, very busy, keeping himself busy. Good for business, I guess. So
and he called it straight. I mean, he was rough on some of the play Sunday.
Interesting.
And at one point said this team does not look prepared for opening day.
Wow. I'm going to have to tune in to
that's rare for anybody, college or pro.
Oh, yeah.
Hometown announcer to say.
That is very risky to do when a lot of hometown fans are listening. But it was a really fun week one in the NFL. We'll talk a lot more about everything that happened. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Matt Infield from Action News 5 will join us to talk the Tigers. We'll recap Saturday's win over Troy and then discuss this weekend's big matchup against Florida State. 3:45, we'll talk some baseball as we're getting down under 20 games remaining in the regular season and a lot of news. Some teams still fighting for positioning, and now we're starting to see a lot of teams, including the St. Louis Cardinals, calling up prospects to make their Major League Baseball debut. So we'll talk a lot of baseball at 3:45. 4 o'clock, Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville will join us to talk some college football. We'll talk a lot of SEC, a lot of ACC with him, and he's also down there very close to Florida State, so we'll get his thoughts on this weekend's matchup between Memphis and Florida State. 4:30, I mentioned it a second ago, what we learned now, or what we know now that we didn't know before the weekend in college football and the NFL. We'll have 2 or 3 for both college football and the NFL.
We want the listeners.
We absolutely do. Something we did a lot last year, had a lot of fun last year doing it, bringing it back again this year for the football season. So, yeah, text us in. Let us know what you learned over the weekend, what you now know from what you watched over the weekend. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Bo Marchant will join us to talk everything that happened in week 1 of the NFL season. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. It's time for the world's biggest spa sale going on now at Family Leisure. Save thousands on in-stock hot tubs ready for delivery. Spa starting at $28.99. Cold plunges starting at $39.99. Swim spa starting at $17,499. Special financing, it's also available, and huge discounts on all in-stock above-ground pools too. And all patio furniture, it's priced to move. So head out to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Produced by 49er fan extraordinaire Darian Newsom, who's 1-0. We're Sportstime. He's Brian. I'm Brett. We want you to join us at 901-360-8255 at our Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. We're Sportstime for this Tuesday, September 10th, 2024, and we're with you until 6 o'clock. We're always in our Family Leisure Studios, and every day at this hour, it's brought to you by the great people at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day has got to be the 49ers win last night, a 32-19 win over the New York Jets. I thought this would be a close game, and it really wasn't. The 49ers looked locked in on both sides of the ball, and Darian and I were talking about it before the show started. It was interesting to see how this game played out for both of these teams. On one side, I thought the Jets started the game really well on both sides of the ball. They were getting stops defensively, and while the offense started off slow, it felt like one of those games where, okay, first game jitters, first game coming out a little slow, but by the second, third, fourth quarter, they'll really be ready to go. And on the other side, San Francisco really struggled early. They couldn't really move the ball defensively. I didn't think they looked great. And then it all kind of flipped throughout the game. The 49ers offense really started clicking, and the Jets defense was letting up a lot of points. Jets offense never was able to move the ball. The run game really couldn't get anything going. I thought Aaron Rodgers was fine. I thought he made some good plays out there, but at the end of the day, I thought the play calling was a little odd because it really felt like they were targeting one receiver all night, and they have plenty of weapons in that receiver room. So I thought that was a little strange. And all in all, I think Hassan Reddick was the big winner last night because I think the Jets really need him to make that defense what we all think could be one of the best defenses in the NFL. And I think the Jets probably saw how much they missed him last night, especially after we learned Christian McCaffrey not going to play. But it doesn't matter because Jordan Mason, a guy that I think most people that sat down to watch the game last night probably didn't know much about Jordan Mason. What does he do? He doesn't go out there and is, slow and gets 50 yards or whatever. No, he goes out there and has 147 yards and a touchdown. He was awesome last night, and this 49ers team could be scary, especially when they get Christian McCaffrey back.
That's my top story. First NFL week looks a lot like how last year ended. Kansas City in the AFC, San Francisco in the NFC. Mahomes, Reed, Purdy, Shanahan, same cast of characters. Kyle Shanahan. Did I just mention Brock Purdy in the same sentence with Patrick Mahomes?
How about that?
Well, I guess, kind of. Kyle Shanahan can win with Nate Newton at running back. I'm telling you, he could make anything work at running back, skill positions, that offensive formation, even quarterback. He's made Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, become Mr. Relevant. No Christian McCaffrey, no big deal. Jordan Mason from Georgia Tech with 147 yards. That's the most yards he's ever had in a game. Before that, the top was 69 last year against the Cowboys. Brock Purdy, 19 of 29, keeps on winning. 18-4 as a starter. Pick at that.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story is we're getting closer and closer to kickoff between Memphis and Florida State Saturday morning. And this feels like a big game for both sides. Memphis, we know what it is, going on the road into a Power 4 environment, that brand of Florida State. It's a big road game, but on the other side, Florida State backs against the walls, an 0-2 start. They're desperate for a win, and it feels like if Memphis pulls off that win, that it would be that nail in the coffin of this Florida State season. And so I think that makes this a big game nationally, because I think I've heard a lot of people talking about, 0-2 Florida State, that's going to take a lot of the luster off it, and it might, but I think when people look at this game, if Memphis is victorious Saturday, people say, wow, Memphis just beat a very desperate team in Florida State. They put that nail in the coffin of this season. Florida State had to win that game, and even today I saw Ryan Silverfield on the Jim Rome show earlier today. Very interesting, a lot of local flavor on Jim Rome today. Ryan Silverfield was his first guest. His second guest, Jackson Dart, quarterback of Ole Miss. So it's very strange how kind of local in the Mid-South area the Jim Rome show was today. But despite Florida State being 0-2, this is still a big game for the Tigers. But at the end of the day, how much does it really matter? We talk about it all the time. All Memphis has to do is take care of business in their conference. That's the goal at the end of the day, is to compete for conference championships and to put themselves in that spot for the college football playoff. But win against Florida State would definitely help, and I think they'll be ready to go Saturday morning against the Seminoles. Great
point. In fact, Bryant, tomorrow let's carve out some time and let's go over the other group of 5 teams that we need to keep an eye on this weekend, need Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham to beat Texas State and G.J. Kinney and get kind of Texas State off the scene, because Arizona State's going to lose in Big 12 games.
How about that? Still weird.
Got to check that a couple times. My not top story, it was some bad quarterback play in the NFL this weekend, led by Daniel Jones. Kirk Cousins wasn't far behind him, and Will Levis with one of the uglier interceptions any quarterback at any level can ever make. He might have been at the top of the list. They all could recover, but one that has recovered, Baker Mayfield, 24 of 30, 289, 4 touchdowns. He's settled in Tampa. I'm not saying he's filling Tom Brady's shoes, but he's the quarterback after Tom Brady in Tampa, and somebody had to be.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing well. So, I mean, I think that's all you can ask for. Nobody's going to beat Tom Brady, but, if you're winning games and completing passes.
I love Baker Mayfield. Saw him in Red River put on a show to beat Texas. Wow, in 45-42, and then he was great in that college football playoff game at the Rose Bowl against Georgia in overtime in defeat, though.
Yeah.
But it wasn't his fault. He didn't play defense.
No.
Nobody played defense for either side that night.
It's a good point. But I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. And when we come back, we're talking Tigers with Matt Infield.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant, objective feedback, hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 Cordova, a newly renovated 50,000 square foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-sized courts, 3 high school-sized courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town, open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Carter Mead, the creators, SEC NFL Dream Bar, over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Pick them up on 6 pool tables. Hold us here in town. Grab your pool stick and get you some new water. 100 chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 10 to 6 p.m. on Mega Mystics 25 Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
Summer's heating up, and so are the savings at Choate's. We've got 3 incredible offers to make your season spectacular. First up, our Grill and Chill with Choate's Summer Special. Upgrade your HVAC system and choose between a free Yeti cooler or a Green Egg grill on select systems. Then power through any outage with Choate's generators. Be one of the first 50 customers to buy a generator and score a massive 75-inch TV or an iPad. Also, don't forget about our tankless water heater offer. Purchase a tankless water heater from Choate's and receive a premium toilet free. Don't wait. These offers are too good to last. Turn to the experts with Choate's and call 347-8086 or visit us online today for your free estimate. Now introducing Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. Choate's, let our family serve your family.
Need good food fast? You need 901 Eats to Go in Bartlett. Meat in 2 sides. Chicken wings and tenders, cheeseburgers, Philly cheesesteak, even catfish, plus sides and drinks. 901 Eats to Go has everything you want when you want it at prices you can afford. Call 901-417-8232. Pick up, DoorDash, Uber Eats, or online at 901eats.com. That's Eats with a Z. Delicious and convenient. 901 Eats to Go. 3135 Kirby Wooden Road in Bartlett. Good food fast.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. At Jason's Deli locations at Ridgeway in the Parkway Center, Popper Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stack Sportsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you on this Tuesday afternoon, and joining us now to talk some Tigers, Matt Infield from Action News 5 joins us now. Matt, thanks so much for joining us. The Tigers 2-0 after another win over Troy. I know we're going to talk a lot of positives here, but we did hear some negative news after that game against Troy. Sutton Smith, we all kind of feared that he would miss the remainder of the season, but Ryan Silverfield said that he would, in fact, miss the rest of the season. What will this running back room look like now without Sutton Smith? Mario Anderson looked really good against Troy, but what does the depth now look like in that running back room?
Yeah, I think Mario becomes kind of a clear workhorse-ish back, and I think that he showed all the capabilities to do that. He flashed a little bit more as a pass catcher on Saturday. Clearly, I think he's got the body type to do it. I mean, that dude is a bowling ball of a runner with a little bit of speed to go with it. So I think he can handle the majority of the work, but I talked about him last week, and I still have really liked what I've seen from Greg DeWosier Jr. as well, and I think that he can fill a little bit of, like I said, that Sutton Smith light role as a pass catcher. And I think something I noticed on Saturday that maybe I didn't as much against North Alabama is, you know, he's explosive and he's quick and he's good in the open field, but he runs with a little more power.
I think we might have lost Matt there. Darian, see if you can get him back. It sounded like he was.
That's
there we go.
There he is. But yeah, I think that's kind of what it looks like for now.
Matt Infield with us from Action News 5 on the Tigers. Also host the coaches show, both Ryan Silverfield and Coach Penny Hardaway's coaching show. And this 2-0 start, except for the injury to the great running back Sutton Smith, except for that, this has gone almost to script to start 2-0. FSU can't come close to saying that, can they, Matt?
No, I mean, maybe if you're writing a horror movie about them, this is what the script looks like, but the one that they had in mind, definitely not. I mean, there's probably not a team in the country with more pressure on them this week than the Seminoles. I mean, if they start 0-3, losing to Wake Forest in Ireland, and then at home to Boston College, and then at home to, I'm just saying what the national narrative is going to be. I think we know how good the Tigers are, but if they start 0-3 and the third loss is to a Group of 5 team at home that Mike Norvell used to coach, I mean, there are going to be some ugly headlines and narratives coming out. So the pressure is fully on the Seminoles. I have no doubt about that.
It sure will be, and you're right. They have so much more pressure on them actual game week than we did in all the summertime W's and L's and prospects for the year. Let me read to y'all from Athlon Sports College Football Preseason Magazine in the final analysis for this year's Florida State team. And look, I'm just as wrong on a lot of takes. So I'm not knocking them, but this was the general consensus for FSU. Florida State will have plenty of questions to answer early on, but a favorable schedule should benefit the Seminoles through the first month of the season. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Yeah, that's college football in a nutshell, isn't it? And I think that, a lot of it, their headliners have underperformed, and maybe that's a misread on some of the talent like we talked about last week. They've just gotten kind of gashed in the trenches in both games, and, I think that's probably going to be a pretty good test for Memphis, because I do think that Florida State has some guys on the offensive and defensive line who could do damage, but so far that's been a win for them, and like we talked about for the last couple of weeks, I understand the pedigree of DJU. I understand he was a really highly rated recruit coming out of high school. Obviously, he played at Clemson for a little bit. He was at Oregon State. I'm just saying I have never watched him and thought this is a great needle-moving college quarterback. So, maybe people thought under Norvell and in this Florida State ecosystem that would change. It has not so far. I will say some of the weapons, we talked about last week, some of the weapons that they've lost to the NFL, Keon Coleman's, Trey Benson's, Jaheim Bell's, Johnny Wilson's. The weapons so far haven't looked special. I will tell you that Ryan Silverfield and the coaching staff very much believe that they have some playmakers on that side of the ball and that it's only a matter of time before they come alive. But so far, that has not really come to fruition at all.
Matt, I so agree with you. And Nico, I'm sorry, not Nico, DJ, if you surround him with a galaxy of stars, he might be pedestrian and might can kind of get it done. But when he's left kind of like, hey, you go make the music, DJU, I don't think he can. And that's why game plan Saturday for the Tigers, do whatever you got to do. DJ, you got to beat us, and we don't think you can.
Yeah, and I think that we talked about the trenches a little bit. I think that's going to be another big game in this linebacker-heavy scheme too. I think that if the Tigers are going to win, they're going to need a couple of big performances out of Chandler Martin, and Elijah Harry looked awesome on Saturday. You're wondering what he was going to look like coming from Tennessee. What was it? Big 8 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, a sack, a forced fumble where he just grown manned it from the Detroit running back. When their best players, when the Tigers' best players show up, I think that they can give this FSU defense some problems. That's not even talking about guys like Greg Rubin and Kobe Minor in the secondary as well. So, yeah, I mean, the Tigers' best defensive players are going to have to and offensively for that matter as well. But defensively, they're going to have to show up on Saturday. But if they do, I think this FSU offense is there for the taking a little bit. So we'll see.
I'm glad you brought up the defense because it feels like all offseason the biggest question was what's the defense going to look like? We kind of knew what offense would look like with so many guys coming back. You mentioned Elijah Herring had a great game last week against Troy. Kobe Miners played really well these first 2 games. You mentioned a couple of those guys that were big-time returners for this Tiger team. What has impressed you the most about this defense?
Just like I said, I think I brought it up after North Alabama game. It's just they look like they are playing fast. They look like they are playing with a lot of confidence, and they are bringing the physicality. They are hitting really hard, and they are kind of setting the tone. I think that's the biggest thing to me so far. And I think that they've been pretty good situationally as well. I don't have the numbers on their third down defense and whatnot, but it just feels like when they're in obvious passing downs or obvious run downs that they meet the matchup and kind of set the tone for how things are going to go on that particular play. So, yeah, I think that they're bought into what Jordan Hankins. Jordan Hankins taking a step back. He gave up a whole 17 points this week after giving up 3 against or nothing against North Alabama and 0 rushing yards against Iowa State in the bowl game. So he's flipping a little bit, but no, in all seriousness, I mean, he's done a great job so far, and the players are clearly bought into it, and it looks like a scheme that a lot of them are really thriving in.
Matt, you mentioned Greg Rubin, and this is not critical. I just keep wanting more from him. Do you sense that? Do you feel like there's more there out of him?
Yeah, probably. Corner's a weird position because corners sometimes you sit there the best corners are often the ones that never get the ball thrown their way.
That's right.
So it's kind of a position where if you don't hear from them at all, it's probably a good thing. And then, if they're getting picked on a lot, then that can be problematic. That being said, I do kind of wonder who is going to step up and be. It feels like right now they almost have a bunch of number 2 quarters in that room, which is not a bad thing. Like they have a bunch of good players, but who's going to step up and be that clear-cut top guy that when you're playing in man coverage is either shadowing the top receiver or playing one side of the field and basically eliminating a portion of the field or eliminating that receiver. It feels like we are kind of waiting to see who's going to emerge there and be the unquestioned top dog. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. One of the big storylines for this game is the relationship between Ryan Silverfield and Mike Norvell. I know in his press conference yesterday, he tried to play it down and say this is not going to be Silverfield versus Norvell. But at the end of the day, both these guys know each other very well. Silverfield has talked multiple times about how close they are and how they sat next to each other for 4 years and they learned a lot from each other and still do. How big will this matchup be with the 2 guys that know each other so well?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to downplay. I do, obviously, the focus throughout the week, I don't think it's coaches speak when they say that they're just focused on winning a football game, right? Because obviously winning these games is hard enough no matter who the opponent is. You can't get caught up in narratives or storylines and whatnot. That said, I got to imagine on a human level for both of them, this is a game that they want to win. Now, Mike Norvell, it might be much more about we got to get on the board this season, period, no matter who it's against. For Ryan, though, to go up against a a blue blood program, if you want to call it that, certainly one of the biggest brands in the sport, on the road in a nationally televised game against the guy who was his predecessor, someone who he's called a brother and a close friend. I got to imagine that if Ryan and the Tigers are able to pull this off Saturday, it's going to be one of the sweetest wins of his career so far. It could be a big, big boost for the program. I do wonder how much of the knowledge of each other is an advantage, if at all. Now, I will say Norvell's probably, imagine, running a lot of the same stuff at Florida State that he did at Memphis, whereas, offensively for the Tigers right now, Tim Cramsey is someone that came after Mike Norvell departed, and obviously Jordan Hankins is someone that also, new defense coordinator, basically implemented this team for the first time in the bowl game last year. So I do kind of wonder if knowledge of one another actually might swing a little bit in Memphis's favor, but if that is a factor, I think it'll be a minimal one. But yeah, I think that they both want this one, and I think for Ryan especially, if he's able to pull this off with the Tigers on Saturday, it would be pretty sweet.
Season saver for Mike Norvell and season maker potentially for Ryan Silverfield. Matt, in college football, we know when it's the big home win, it's tear down the goalpost. When it's the big road win, it's either on the radio network or now in social media, letting people know what time the team arrives back. Have your weekend cameras rolling when the team arrives back Saturday about 5:30 or 6, because I think it's going to be a happy throng of Tiger fans there to greet them.
Hey, so you've been picking Memphis to win this game for a while, even before the season started, right?
I'm 34-21. Tigers win.
34-21. Okay, so you're expecting a relatively comfortable win. Okay,
I am.
Here's one thing they will need to do if they're going to win this game, and I think that we probably haven't seen them play all their cards offensively yet, but I would like to see them stretch the field a little bit more than they have so far. And now, granted, I asked Ryan about that yesterday because there wasn't a ton of vertical passing against Troy, and he brought up the fact that Troy committed 6 pass interference penalties in that game, and 4 of them were on vertical shots where if those become completions instead, we're probably having a different conversation. And for anyone that was there at the stadium on Saturday, the wind was swirling pretty well as well. But yeah, I would like to see a little more vertical passing. I would like to see a big Rock Taylor game. I think that could go a long way towards winning. But yeah, they've got probably a much better shot than we anticipated before the season, and I think that we all thought at the very least they would have a chance no matter what going into this game. But it feels like it's right there for the taking now.
You mentioned the swirling winds. At Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, it's the candlestick of college football stadiums. There's never 2 flags in the whole place blowing the same direction, is it?
No, and I'm curious. And now I am not. This is way above my head as far as figuring out wind direction and jet streams and all that. But Ryan did bring up the point. I think we're all thinking of it. You've got the entire west side of the stadium just gone. So I wonder how that affects things as well. Because before,
that's right.
A little bit of a pretty big size bowl or wall or whatever you want to call it. That was at least affected the wind a little bit. Now that's gone. So yeah, but you could feel it. And I was standing behind the end zone in the second quarter, I think it was. And Seth Hennigan took a deep shot to Rock Taylor towards the end zone, and you could literally see the ball. It was like on a post route to the middle of the field, and you could see the ball kind of fluttering at the end and dying like in the air. So it was definitely a little bit of a factor on Saturday for sure.
Yeah. Well, it should be fun this weekend seeing the Tigers down at Florida State for a big-time matchup. Matt, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Hopefully Victory Tuesday next week. Thanks, guys.
That's right.
Thanks, Matt.
Beat FSU. Thank you, Matt. Matt Infield with us talking Tigers. FSU, they lost 24-21 in Dublin to Georgia Tech, and then they lost on Labor Day night 28-13. The whole college football world has watched almost every play of Florida State because how their games have set up. Now, on Saturday, the entire game day audience will be dragged right into the 11 o'clock kickoff on ESPN. So you'll go from game day in Columbia, South Carolina, they'll throw it out to the stadium
Wow.
in Tallahassee.
That's incredible. So, yeah, it's going to be another. And I don't think if you had asked me, I would have realized it eventually. But I guess it was when we were talking to Jonah last week, and he said, remember, Florida State has played in standalone games their first two games of the season in Dublin, in that first game against Georgia Tech, and then their last game against Boston College, that lone Monday night game. And now you're going to get a lot of the eyeballs again because, like you said, leading right in from game day. So it's definitely going to be a lot of eyes on this one, and hopefully it'll be a lot of eyes watching a Memphis victory.
Brian, I'm looking at it, so it's not fair for me to set you up like this, so I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
Their leading rusher, Roydell Williams, the transfer from Alabama, he has 48 yards.
Really?
That's their leading rusher.
Wow. That's
load the box. Dare DJU to beat you.
Yeah.
Let it rip.
Yeah, make them throw against you.
All the photos that are going out, from where now the press box is now on the east side, so you're looking at the hole and the construction. We understand that that's going to be the case, but that shot of the Coliseum, it looks like it's saying, "Please knock me down."
It is very lonely over there.
Would somebody bring a big ball in and knock me down?
Bring all the construction stuff over here. Just move.
While they're at it, 2 sticks
yards.
of dynamite and some bulldozers.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's getting some good shine though with that big hole in the stadium. It's a great view of the Coliseum. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk some baseball.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance Team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
For retro cruiser styling packed with modern innovations, riders of all skill levels choose a Honda Rebel. Incredible motorcycles with a stripped-down style and a full package of features. Both the 300 and the 500 offer compact power inside a lightweight frame. Combined with a low slim seat, the Rebel is easy to start on. And with new colors for this year, they are impossible to ignore. Go to DeSoto Honda to check out the 2023 Honda Rebels. Cruisers with premium style and performance to enjoy every second. Use the street as a racetrack with the law with the owner.
Memphis, it's official. Crab King Seafood is where it's at. For the most flavored seafood and the biggest plates, run to a Crab King's near you. Visit the Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road. The price, the portions, the service is why Crab King's is #1. So don't be disappointed in seafood. Make the right choice the first time and every time. Make it Crab Kings. Crab Kings have only locally grown catfish. Come and devour tasty snow crabs, king crab, shrimp, salmon, catfish, calamari, and so much more. Enjoy Memphis's best tasting pasta with your choice of toppings. Visit the Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road. Crab Kings is open Wednesday through Sunday. Enjoy 50% off lunch portions and dollar fountain drinks. The #1 name in Cajun seafood is Crab King Seafood, a Memphis favorite. Crab King, 7140 Stage Road. Kings with the Z.
We're here with David Cooper, Vice President of Genesis Diamonds. David, we're familiar with iconic brands. Are there designers for engagement rings?
Absolutely. Like every other industry, there are 10 renowned bridal designers who have been leading the industry for years. They're trusted, respected, and exclusive. Every jewelry store wishes to help.
So what makes these designer engagement rings so desirable?
These designers drive a surge of customers to the store, making it the place to be. They attract shoppers who value quality, sophistication, and the ability to express their individuality.
Customers find these engagement rings in other stores?
Absolutely. Other stores would love to have them, but they have to sell for what they can get, not what they wish to have.
So Genesis is cornering the market.
Certainly. From a world-class exclusive selection from $1,900 complete rings to $250,000 silver rings. These bridal designers in the world create these one-of-a-kind rings specifically to showcase
Genesis Diamonds, popular in Perkins Extended.
You are
or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We're looking live at this crash, getting some attention over here on 240 westbound, just past Poplar. It was running slow over here earlier from a slowdown that we had further on up. They are on 240 westbound, just past Poplar. It may have triggered this accident behind it here on 240 westbound near Poplar as that traffic increases through the Midtown area right now, pretty much on schedule. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. Go by and see them. Shop local. Save a ton of money. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stack Snoresworthy and Brian Davis.
Well, it's a lot of interesting things going on in Major League Baseball as we're getting down to the end of the regular season, and a lot of spots still in the air in terms of seeding and even wild card. The New York Mets yesterday, after their win, took sole position of the final NL wild card spot over the Braves. They were tied going into yesterday, but the Mets, they get a win. Braves take a loss, and now the Mets a 1-game lead over the Braves for that NL wild card. That's going to be an interesting one to watch down the stretch. But it feels like, and we kind of talked about this last week, it feels like outside of that, most of this in terms of just teams making the wild card feels pretty wrapped up.
If you're those teams, the seed drama, it's big because like the Yankees, they could go from 1 to 4. The Orioles could do the same thing. In a little bit of movement, but not a lot in the kind of 4, 5, 6 land. But there's only real one in or out battle left, and that's the one you just referenced, and it feels like it will go down to the last day. 3 weeks from today, we have playoff afternoon baseball.
Crazy. It's insane to even think about. But yes, we are almost there. It's come and gone very fast. I mean, last night I was watching, after the Monday Night Football game was over, I was watching Dodgers and Cubs, and they were talking about, because obviously a lot of eyes right now on Shohei Ohtani and his race to 50-50, and they were saying, he's got 18 games left, and I was going, holy cow, only 18 games left.
Happen?
Exactly. How in the world are we to that point? But yeah, before we know it, we're going to be talking about postseason baseball.
But even with this sprint, and 18 to 20 games left for most, the proverbial, still a lot of baseball to be played.
Yes.
There's never a point in the year that there's not a lot of baseball to be
Last day of the
played.
regular season, a lot of baseball left.
MVP of the National League. Don't even send the ballots out. It's Shohei. Don't even waste the money or the email or the time and energy.
It's Shohei, for sure, 100%.
Is it the same in the AL with Aaron Judge?
Yes, I believe so.
When you're just a few points shy, he's not going to win the batting title. Bobby Witt's going to win the batting title in the American League. Bobby Witt's had a great year. Bobby Witt, most years, that would be good enough to win an MVP.
Absolutely.
You do that the rest of your career, you're going to win a bunch of MVPs, and you're going to be enshrined in Canton or Cooperstown someday. Yes. Maybe even Canton if you're that good.
Who knows? Yes.
If you're that good. Springfield, I mean, you have that kind of career, they'll put you in a lot of halls of fame. But it's Aaron Judge's MVP.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels like it, and those guys have been playing really, really well. But also kind of something on the flip side of watching these playoff sprints for a lot of teams. You're now seeing a lot of guys getting called up to make their major league debuts. Kumar Rocker is going to start for Texas on Thursday, which will be really fun. I'm excited. He's actually looked really good since returning from Tommy John injury. He was in Double-A a couple games, has been in Triple-A for about a month
what
or
a
so.
long, strange trip for him.
Ooh, yes. A lot of obstacles for Kumar Rocker to get to Thursday and making his Major League Baseball debut, which will make it even sweeter to watch, for people that have followed him.
His dad, legit legendary player, Outland Trophy winner, and has legendary assistant coach in college and pro.
Yeah, and
a lot of places.
Definitely. And so now Kumar making to Major League Baseball will be really cool to watch. For the Cardinals, they announced it earlier this morning. Thomas Ajayce will be called up, and he'll play tonight for the Cardinals. They optioned Victor Scott down to Memphis. This comes because Brendan Donovan's dealing with an injury, and Mason Wynn has a scheduled day off, so they need another infielder. And so he'll play. He's been pretty good over this last month. I saw the numbers. I think it was since July 1st, batting .290 with 12 home runs at Memphis. So maybe he can give you something. The thing I love about Thomas Ajayce, and the thing I'm excited to see, no batting gloves. Gets up there,
Matt Carpenter,
naked with no batting gloves, and yes, like Matt Carpenter. And
Fred Couples played golf with no gloves.
Wow. I think I would rather. I don't know what I would rather do actually. Play golf with no gloves.
The opposite of Aaron Two Glove Rye or Tommy Two Glove.
You're absolutely right. And I would rather have two gloves than no gloves in both baseball and golf. But that will be interesting to see him. And how about this? Rhett Lauder pitching tonight for the Reds against the Cardinals. This will be his third start, I believe, for the Reds.
Sub-1 ERA so far.
Yeah, I think, really good through 2 games for him. So, still stuff to watch, I guess. If you're
They're braced for really low crowds this week.
Yes.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday against the Reds. 2 teams that are out of it, and school started back. Long, tough year and all that. They think tonight the unthinkable at Busch Stadium. Now, they've had really slim crowds on some makeup games. They think tonight could be in the 15,000 to 16,000 range.
That is not ideal at all. But
$6 tickets at the website.
Brett, is that what announced, or is that what's going through the actual gate, Brett?
through the turn.
Okay, through the turnstiles.
Scan code.
Great question. No, I think you're absolutely right. It could be some very thin
it'll be a
crowds.
big fib through the box score.
For sure. But we do need to wrap up this hour and get to another break. When we come back, we're talking more college football with Brent Beard from First Coast News down in Jacksonville.
Since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Stop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
The best I do's start with Sissy's Blue. Discover bridal jewelry worthy of your big day at Sissy's Log Cabin, along with our spectacular experience that comes with our promise of exceptional quality, service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Experience our expansive selection when you stop by any of our 6 locations or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com. Find your perfect engagement ring only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Yes, you could go to some chain restaurant for breakfast. Lots of people do. It's the obvious choice. Or you could go to Memphis's favorite homegrown breakfast places, Sunrise on Jefferson or Sunrise East on Poplar. Sunrise is a Memphis original, and you can rely on getting a fast, fresh breakfast, or lunch for that matter, with nothing coming off of the back of a truck frozen. Whether it's breakfast or lunch, it's all made right here in Memphis. There's a reason why the 2 locations of Sunrise are the Memphis destinations for great, fast, fresh food. It's Sunrise.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli locations at Ridgeway and Park Place Center, Whopper Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, with Dave Woloshin, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. College football talk every Tuesday with Brent Beard, Heisman voter, and on Twitter X at Brent Beard. SEC, ACC, AAC, we talk it all with Brent. Here's Brent Beard with Bryant and Brent.
Brent Beard joins us now to talk college football from First Coast News down in Jacksonville. Brent, thanks so much for joining us. I know a lot of people here locally are excited for this weekend, Memphis versus Florida State. So we'll start with that. You're very close to Florida State. They've had the off week this week. Backs against the wall, a desperate team looking for a win, going up against a Memphis team that has looked good through 2 games to start the season. What do you expect to see Saturday morning in Tallahassee?
I'd love to tell you, but right now we don't know the way they're playing, frankly. You might could see almost anything. I think a lot of it depends on their frame of mind. Now, one of their running backs, kick returners, Jalen Lucas, is out for the year. He got hurt, so that really was difficult for them. They are getting Hakeem Williams back, one of their wide receivers, also, and they really, guys, have got to make a decision on where they want to go with DJ Uiagalelei. Frankly, the confidence is not there. They have struggled. He's completed basically what he normally does, about 58% of his passes. They're gaining a robust 59 yards on the ground, and it's early, but they can't allow that to happen for much longer. But they are very aware and very wary of Memphis. They know that Memphis will certainly have the better quarterback on the field, if not several other positions. So it really is a big game for both of them. I mentioned on a podcast last night that for the and who would have thought this? Maybe certainly, but you're in a situation right now to where going into this game, because of the playoffs, Memphis has got as much at stake in this game as Florida State does.
They sure do, Brent. The stakes are arguably bigger for the Memphis Tigers because it was always one path for Memphis to get in. There were one or two paths for FSU to get in. I think both of those have closed. And you mentioned FSU; they don't throw it real well. I think the only pass DJU has ever thrown well is when he's in shotgun. They snap it to him. He one step and throws the slant, usually to his right side. It's a little better than to his left side. I don't think he's hard to game plan for. So when you can't throw it very well, you're not running it very well. I just mentioned Roydell Williams, their leading rusher. How many yards did I say, Bryant? 48?
Yeah, something around there, yeah.
That's their leading rusher on the season.
Crazy.
Their defensive line is not as nasty as advertised. No. It leads to headlines currently at ESPN.com, not the college football section. When you go to ESPN, what has gone wrong for Florida State? That's how you get that headline.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that tells you a lot, too. But what's happened to them is typical of other teams right now. They had a tremendous amount of success last year with the transfer portal. And what I understand that
Keon Coleman.
That they have learned from that is that doesn't happen every year, and it's not going to help them right now. But they're going to put more of an emphasis on developing their, frankly, their recruits from high school. Last year Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, as Brent mentioned. Obviously, you've got your quarterback. And Jordan Travis. You can just go on down the line and that's very unusual. But the majority of them really worked out. But again, that doesn't happen every year, and I think that's a lesson for everybody.
Yeah. Going over to the SEC over the weekend, what did you make of Tennessee, their win over NC State? I thought the defense looked really, really good in that matchup and really shut down NC State. What were your takeaways from Tennessee's win?
You can make the argument right now that Tennessee and Texas and Georgia are playing as well at this juncture as anybody is. They deserve a lot of credit. I think it surprised a lot of people. Now, Kent State will be easy next week as a real test when they go to Oklahoma, but they just may simply outscore Oklahoma. Oklahoma is struggling, but the thing is, when you hold NC State 143 yards, 39 on the ground, you forced 3 turnovers and stomp them on 4th and 1 a couple of times. Had a big pick six. That probably opened the game with Will Brooks. But they're able to run the ball well. Sampson at running back has been really impressive, 132 yards. Nico is obviously what they've been looking for quite some time. But, again, that's the difference. And Brent and I have seen this for decades now. Don't care who you are. You've got to be able to have a defense that is stout and can be a game changer if you're going to win this league. And for the first time, since when? They have a defense who can do that.
Yeah, and Big O and Pierce are as good as guys that really down in the stance, and Pierce stands up a lot too. But he can do both. They're really formidable on defense. This week for Tennessee, an easy game in Knoxville against Kent State. Next week to Norman, and I think they will put it on OU. That's for next week. Right now, you mentioned some teams kind of in a upper tier. It's early, a snapshot. We understand that. Would you have Alabama in your top SEC tier right now?
Yeah, well, even with struggling with South Florida, I think so. I think they'll get the offensive line straightened out sooner than later. I mean, they had a big number 75, the Formby kid, Wilkin Formby, who's going to be good eventually, but he struggled. He's a big kid trying to understand the system, and they just kind of ran around him. They put Elijah Pritchett in, and he made a huge difference. So I think that will help. Ryan Williams is been all that he's advertised. The freshman wide receiver. What's odd about Alabama is, in some ways, the defense has really played more consistently than the offense has. Now they'll have to put it up another notch. Now, obviously, we cover Miami too down here, and Tyler Van Dyke hasn't struck fear in anyone's heart any time lately. The Miami transfer going to Wisconsin, that will be interesting to see how he does in this game. I mean, Bama's got the better roster, but at the same time, that's going to be a real road test for them. But it really, truly is amazing at this point how many teams in the SEC or in the top 10, virtually in the top 5. So we thought this would happen, and for what you can get out of it, the AP Top 25 is telling us that.
I bet you in his heart of hearts, I know he enjoyed it, I know the respect, but I bet Kalen DeBoer is probably one of the happiest people to get through those first 2 games at Bryant-Denny, opening game, all the new. Last week, the stadium dedication to Saban Field, and that ceremony just crushed it. And it was so special and just, unreal that he accomplished what he did to go on the name of that stadium. But I bet Kalen DeBoer is glad to have those weeks behind him, and this is how high the bar is in Alabama. Somebody had to succeed, Nick Saban. Kalen DeBoer said, yeah, I'll do it. He ran toward the fire, is that great story ran a few weeks ago. But he won by 26 on Saturday night. Now, USF did play them close. They did outrush them, but they lost by 26. Last year, everybody goes back to that game down in Tampa that Alabama won by 14 points in that game, right? 17-3. So in 2 years, they've won by a total of 40 points, so an average of 20 points, and everybody thinks South Florida really scared them to death.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the bar going at Bama.
Sure is.
Look, even when the game was a 1-point game, I mean, look, anything can happen in a 1-point game, but the Alabama defense was still controlling the game, frankly. So, yeah, that's a really good point. But I think it was important for Alabama in the fourth quarter to do what they did and to show that that they could be able to impact the game on both levels. I mean, they've got some strong running backs with Miller and Haynes. And we mentioned the Williams kid a few minutes ago. Now, I'm being realistic about this. Jalen Milroe, I mean, he has improved, and particularly when he was running the ball and design runs, he did well. But there's still some intermediate passing improvement guys that's going to be needed if they go where they want to go.
Yeah, I'm here to applaud USF for the 2 competitive games in back-to-back years when everybody was expecting slaughters. But I don't think you need to have the coffee table book of, we played Bama close. You lost by average of 20 points.
Well
games.
Said, yes.
Yeah, that is a really good point. Talking to Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville. Brent, last week I thought Texas would beat Michigan. I thought they would cover the spread, but I did not think it would be to the magnitude of what it was Saturday morning. It really feels like Quinn Ewers and Texas are back, and was really impressed with what they did, like I said, against Michigan. How good is this Texas team?
Well, they're very good. I mean, that Sark said they had incredible depth. And I think that's certainly coming through.
At running back.
Yeah, that too, especially after losing C.J. Baxter. Now, the thing that really has impressed me about them is they've rebuilt that defensive line. I mean, when you lose DeAndre Sweat and Byron Murphy, those guys aren't easy to replace. But they've been dominant, frankly, and particularly against Michigan. Now, look, Michigan's not going to throw the ball all over the field either. We have to be honest about that. But their D-line has really come on strong, frankly. So, and they've got all kinds of weapons. But, again, if you don't have a strong front seven, you can really only go so far. UTSA is a pretty decent football team. I'm not saying that they'll win the game, but if Texas relaxes a little bit, that may be a little bit of difficulty. But Brian's right; they are good. Now, at some point, guys, the league catches up with them, and I'm not saying they're going to lose 3 games in a row, but it's just the meat grinder of the schedule. You start losing players. Defensive coordinators start figuring you out a little bit. It probably won't be easy as it is now going through the season.
No, and absolutely not, especially first year in the SEC. The big upset of the weekend, though, was Northern Illinois, a 16-14 win over Notre Dame. It felt like after last week, a lot of people talking about this Notre Dame team. They get a signature wins, the schedule is favorable, and, some people talking about them being a lock for the college football playoff, and then just 7 days later, they go out and lose at home. What did you see from this Notre Dame team in that loss against Northern Illinois?
Still really, they're still struggling on offense. Riley Leonard is, he's been okay. Hasn't thrown a touchdown pass at this point. I mean, my stars, those Northern Illinois guys, have they woken up from the afterglow of what happened, and that they deserve a lot of credit for that. I'm just frank here. I mean, I hope he does fine. I'm just not a great Marcus Freeman fan. It was an easy transition, and I get that. Is he what they really need down the line? It's hard to say. I mean, they've still got a schedule, though, to where, that they could probably still be 9-3 or 10-2. Frankly, that's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But
what, does that get them anything? Does that get them in the playoffs?
Because they won't be conference champions.
No.
Frankly, it very well may not.
But they beat the mean old SEC down at College Station.
Oh yeah. And a lot of that's going to depend. And I tell you what, a lot of that's going to depend on where A&M and Florida, for that matter, go with this game. But I tell you, you still really, and I've told people this, and folks need to understand, Notre Dame's still a real political animal. And there are times, and maybe it's just been enough time to where that's not as strong as it used to be by any stretch, but you still wonder what that name does in a closed committee that we probably will never know about.
That's as I say about the NCAA basketball tournament, they're rolling out a TV show, and these numbers, these ratings, this revenue really, really matters. And Notre Dame, I think 2 losses, they're still very much in it. 3, yes. It could be a good debate. We're talking to Brent Beard from down in Jacksonville, as we do every week about college football. He's on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. You do a podcast, and you're good friends with Florida Gator legend Shane Matthews, old Pascagoula Panther. Have you gotten from him who he thinks his dream coach would be if they move on from Billy Napier?
I'll tell you what I've heard as of late. Obviously Lane's name's in there, but I heard Eli Drinkwit today. And look, he would be fine too, frankly. And I've told a lot of people they need to read the ESPN article by Chris Lowell and Lane Kiffin. I thought that was really revealing, and he and his family. Shane has been pretty careful with that since he's the analyst for radio. I tell you one thing Shane did say that really caught my attention. There was a pass that DJ Lagway threw in that Samford game that he basically just flicked his wrist, and it dropped in the breadbasket for a touchdown. And I thought this was an amazing statement. Shane said that's the greatest pass I've ever seen thrown at Florida Field.
Wow.
And
he threw some good ones. His coach threw some good ones. Danny Werfel threw some good ones.
Yep, sure did. But that was his comment on that. So, and look, there were a lot of. I'm just being honest here. There were a lot of talk about the possibility of would they make a change early in the season, maybe as even soon as after the Samford game. Nothing has happened with that. I'm not saying that there's not a lot of stuff certainly in the works. I mean, he's got a $25 million buyout, but that money will be there if they want to go that route at this point. So, but if you're going to do something with your program, you're better to do it. And see, they've got A&M and Mississippi State, and then they've got a bye. So that may, if something happens early, that may be it. Now, that sounds ridiculous, and I'll be brief about this, but the reality of it is, guys, if they take away this spring portal, and the only one you've got is the one that extends from December to January, is the clock, shall we say, going to be moved up in people's mind to the point to where we're going to see a lot more teams decide to make a decision on their coach early mid-season rather than waiting toward the end of the year?
Well, if you make that move early, are you going to have the patience to wait out a team that might be advancing in the playoffs?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. And the teams,
Mizzou and Ole Miss could be those prospective
absolutely
teams.
They could be. Yeah, I agree with that. And Brent, that's a great point. But see, the other thing with Florida is, they might, but I mean, I really just don't see anybody on that staff, and I'm not saying they're awful coaches, but I'm just saying I don't see anybody on that staff who could really be an interim at this point, and kind of be the face of the program for the rest of the year. So keep your eye on wherever that might go.
Mm-hmm. Last thing for you, Brent. What do you make of this Kentucky team through 2 weeks? Because we kind of talked about this game, Kentucky and South Carolina, last week. Kentucky, a weird game in week 1 where it was a lot of weather. It got called early. And then on the other side, South Carolina, I didn't think looked very good, especially offensively, against Old Dominion. But then it was the exact opposite in that matchup between South Carolina and Kentucky. South Carolina completely dominated that game. What do you make of this Kentucky team after what you've seen through the first 2 weeks?
Well, and gee, you have a performance like that, and then you've got Georgia coming to town.
That's right.
Oh, boy, how much fun that is. But the reality is, that may be what they need to motivate them to take it to another level. It was very apparent that Brock Vandagriff was struggling. His offensive line really didn't give him a whole lot of help either. But it really makes you wonder, and we've kind of heard this probably like you guys have. And I listen, I'm a Mark Stoops fan. I like Mark, and I hope he doesn't go anywhere. But it really makes you wonder, is there some validity to these rumors about, has the program grown stale and maybe it's time to retire? I'm not saying that necessarily needs to happen, but they're not going to win the game. But look, for all of us watching that game Saturday night, don't we at least hope it's competitive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would just warn Kentucky. You do that. You've been through a lot of coaches over all these years, and you get your legendary coach, your all-time winningest coach, and that's not enough for you. Well, your appetite's awfully strong.
Yeah, it is. And look, I still say when he does retire, he really deserves a lot of credit for what he's done. I mean, he's got a record going with them in bowl games and winning seasons like Rich Brooks did when he was there. So, but yes, it was extremely disappointing. I mean, certainly kudos to South Carolina for playing better. I'm still not sure Lenore Sellers is a great quarterback, but he improved too. But yeah, their defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. And I was kidding with a friend doing some radio earlier in the week that if Vanderbilt wins and they're 3-0 after a rare game on the road to Georgia State, that we all ought to go up to Nashville and just have a parade about midweek in the midst of all that.
We're good for that, aren't we, Brian?
Oh, I would love that. We anchor down around here. We love
right.
Vanderbilt.
We like Clark Lee.
Yes, we absolutely do. But it should be a fun weekend, Brent. As always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
And I'm heading to Jason's Deli soon.
Good deal.
Heck yeah.
Good choice.
I heard that, and the salmon sandwich, the chicken pot pie soup, and the steamed vegetables are certainly MVP quality stuff. How's that?
I like that.
Perfect. Nailed. Clip that, Derry.
Absolutely.
Copy that.
Yeah. We'll run it during the live.
That's
Thank you,
right.
Brent.
Thanks, Brent.
Love it.
Thank you, Brent. Have a great week, man.
Always, guys. Take care.
You got it. Brent Beard talking college football with us. Kentucky, be real careful what you do here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh, yeah.
This is I think it's a thin coaching pool out there for head coaches in SEC, especially in these times with all the moving parts.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. And I don't know if I didn't look into it. I am going to trust Johnny Radio on his word, but he said today that I guess Netflix is doing a docu-series on Kentucky football, like a Hard Knocks style throughout the season docu-series, and that some higher ups at Kentucky are saying that maybe the Netflix cameras are a distraction for this Kentucky team.
Well,
that I have no idea. I don't know.
Well, Netflix, how many different docu-series are they running out there?
They have a lot of docu-series at Netflix.
They're rolling.
They have found this area with sports that they feel like they can attack with the docu-series, and they've got a lot of them.
We're serious about it.
Oh, no, absolutely. And
if they're doing one on him, they got to be doing one on the first year for Mark Pope.
You would think so. And that's why I told John, I was like, I would way rather watch one on Kentucky basketball right now than Kentucky football. And
I had a college basketball person tell me that Mark Pope will regret leaving BYU, what BYU's getting ready to build with their collective in the portal with players will smoke everybody.
Oh, yeah. They've already off to a hot start, but I think you can maybe argue that maybe that wouldn't happen if he had stayed, because you're seeing a lot of these schools, they're getting their NILs in check after when they have to make a coaching change.
Well, the Utah Jazz owner got that guy hired at BYU.
Yeah, he absolutely did, which is hilarious. But they're doing some good things.
You are correct, good sir. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut. I thought you were almost done.
No, you're good.
It says Kentucky to be featured in Netflix series about
that?
SEC football, starting with the loss to South Carolina.
Wow, how about
Tough
that?
debut.
That's rough. That's not great, but hopefully it makes for good television, I guess. But we need to get to another break. When we come back, it was a busy, busy weekend of football. So we'll talk about what we know now that we didn't know before the weekend in college football and the NFL. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Getaway Sports Bar. Best kept secret in town. Open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garden, the creators, SEC NFL Dream Bar, over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Pick them up on 6 pool tables. Just here in town. Local swing hits just a $1 bar. Chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 10 to 6 p.m. on Business 1025 Getaway Sports Bar, 2632 Winchester.
To understand what makes Genesis Diamonds so different than other jewelry stores, you have to go back over 40 years to the diamond cutting capital of Tel Aviv, Israel. That's where Genesis owner Boaz Ramon grew up, in the center of the diamond universe. His connections with the best diamond cutters allowed him special access, giving rise to a thriving wholesale business here in the United States. Then, after a few years, this wholesaler changed the game and started selling these precious diamonds direct to the public at the same prices he had sold to the jewelry stores. The no middleman concept became an instant success. Today, Genesis Diamonds provides that extraordinary value to people right here in Middle Tennessee, leading the industry with the highest quality diamonds that still come straight from the best cutters, offered at the guaranteed best price of any jewelry store in America. Genesis Diamonds, a truly revolutionary concept with a unique history rooted in quality, committed to excellence, and always focused on value. Genesis Diamonds, luxury green Rolexes, and popular importance extended.
Want to do something you can't do anywhere else? Then join me, your buddy Johnny Radio, at Top Gun Memphis this Thursday at 11 to 1 to experience the fully automatic machine gun package for just $99. It includes 3 different machine guns, ammo, range safety officer, and a shooting range. New to shooting or just need to learn? Top Guns Academy is nationally recognized, and memberships start at just $29.95 a month. Gun rentals are only $10. Join me this Thursday at Top Gun Memphis, 2770 Witten Road.
Summer's heating up, and so are the savings at Choate's. We've got 3 incredible offers to make your season spectacular. First up, our Grill and Chill with Choate's Summer Special. Upgrade your HVAC system and choose between a free Yeti cooler or a Green Egg grill on select systems. Then power through any outage with Choate's generators. Be one of the first 50 customers to buy a generator and score a massive 75-inch TV or an iPad. Also, don't forget about our tankless water heater offer. Purchase a tankless water heater from Choate's and receive a premium toilet free. Don't wait. These offers are too good to last. Turn to the experts with Choate's and call 347-8086 or visit us online today for your free estimate. Now introducing Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Generators. Choate's. Let our family serve your family.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Well, after all of the football we watched over the weekend, I'm sure everybody learned some things that they did not know before the weekend. So we'll talk about some things we know now after watching college football and NFL that we did not know before the weekend started. Brett, I'll let you start. Where you want to start at?
I'll start with college football. And remember, Bryant, back in the summer when I asked rhetorically, just pondering, with the big stakes, and we really are down to ABC and ESPN. They own the SEC. Mm-hmm. Fox and NBC, they own the Big Ten. And I asked, would game day stay true to years ago? They've deviated from it a little bit. Would they stay true to going to the best game in college football for a game day? Well, we got the answer Sunday with the reveal for this week. There's no world that LSU at South Carolina is the best game in college football this weekend. Now, I can understand corporate pinheads and bean counters saying there's no need for you to go to Wisconsin for Bama, Wisconsin, that for us to drive a Fox number. But they did go up to Ann Arbor last weekend. Exactly. And I think that number was going to be big. I mean, you could act like it didn't exist. It was going to be big. Be huge. But why go to Bama at Wisconsin when we got bills to pay here and that big warehouse that sits in Charlotte's closer to Columbia?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got my answer.
Yeah, no, it's that business, those business decisions come in sometimes, and I think you were definitely
profits really matter.
No, they 100% do.
Stock price really matters.
Absolutely. The first thing I learned over the weekend came Saturday night. SMU is going to struggle a lot more than I think people thought in
the Nevada
in
game
conference
showed
play.
it.
Oh, it absolutely did. But I think, you heard at least if you went out and tried to find it, there was a lot of answers coming out of Dallas of, okay, well, first game and you're trying to figure out the quarterback situation and you're on the road and weather was weird. Okay, whatever. But that game against BYU, they go out there and did not look good at all. They're still running both quarterbacks out there at various points during the game. And this is before we even get to ACC play. And this was a team that everyone was telling me, oh, they just killed the portal. They did such great things in the portal. This is going to be different than most teams we see that make that jump from Group of 5 to Power 5. And I kept saying, I don't know. UCF struggled. Cincinnati struggled. Houston is still struggling. And I kept hearing, no, this is going to be different. But I think it could get ugly for SMU in ACC play.
Open date for SMU this week. Next week, they host TCU.
Oh.
Don't they play for the frying pan or something?
They play for something. I don't know exactly what they play for. But there's something on the line. I know that for sure.
They play for something in that game, and Rhett Lashley's kind of all over the place. Looked at that opening night against Nevada. My next one, Ole Miss is really good, but it needs a test. It needs to be challenged. I 22-point favorite over Wake Forest. I don't know if that really will be one, but Ole Miss needs to be challenged. You got Wake Forest, then at home against Georgia Southern, at home against Kentucky, on the road at South Carolina, and then on the road at LSU, then open date.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they need a challenge, and maybe Wake Forest gives them more of a challenge this weekend. But, man, you talk about Wake Forest and then you talk about what they're going to face in the SEC. That's a big difference in definition of challenges. So, we'll see this weekend. But they have looked good in their first couple of games. The next thing I learned over the weekend, and I thought I knew it before the weekend, but I kind of, like you said, Brad, wanted to see that test. Texas. They are back.
They're back. They're much better than I thought they would be.
Yeah.
How many places do you think Arch Manning would start at in the SEC right now?
I would say
5 or 6 or 7.
I would say certainly. I was going to say 6 or 7. So yeah, I'm right there in the same boat with you.
And he's back up and knew it going into the year. Unless Quinn Ewers got hurt or just really fell flat, he was going to be the backup all year. Texas is loaded to go through the running back injuries in August that they went through and still be like this. And what a back-to-back weeks they're going to have. They're going to have Red River in Dallas, and then the following week host Georgia at DKR.
It's incredible. I am curious now about this. Okay, Arch Manning start at Vanderbilt, start at South Carolina, would start at Mississippi State, would start at Auburn, certainly Auburn, would start at Florida.
Arkansas?
I would say would start at Arkansas.
Did you say Kentucky? You don't think he would start at Kentucky?
I mean, after what I saw on Saturday with Brock Vandagriff.
I'm taking him. I'm in love with him.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm in love with him.
I think he would probably start at A&M. So that's 8 that we just rattled off.
Yeah, I mean,
now the rest of the SEC, I think, has got some really good quarterbacks.
Starting to get some different feelings on Jackson Arnold at OU.
Oh yeah, I mean the differences between Game 1 and Game 2, that offense was not.
He starts at a lot of places.
He starts at a lot of places.
He's not stuck on the bench. Everybody, eyes wide open, knew that was going to be the case.
Oh, absolutely.
Next year's going to be his time.
No, it 100%. And what a transition that might be from going from Quinn Ewers to Arch Manning could be very, very seamless.
You first NFL.
Well, I got one more quick one in college that I wanted to get out because I know it was a loss for them. But Darian Mensah, the quarterback for Tulane, that I don't think many people really knew, he has got something. He has played really, really well. 547 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Looked really good in the first game. I thought it looked really, really good until late in that game against Kansas State. He could be a really good player for Tulane. A young guy that I really have enjoyed watching.
That game was almost duplicate. Same weekend, same setup, same kickoff time, same hot weather, same kind of early advantage for Tulane and then just couldn't close it out at the end. That Kansas State loss was almost identical to the Ole Miss loss last year.
Oh, no, and I was thinking about that while the game was playing out. I was like, this is giving me the same exact feeling that I had
Just
last
have a
year.
little more.
Yeah, I mean,
not a lot more.
No, just
enough.
One play here, one mistake that you avoid here. All right, I'll start with the NFL, and how can I not start with anything else? I thought I knew it last year. I thought I knew it before Week 1. Dallas Cowboys. Go ahead and buy your tickets.
Our Cowboys.
Our Cowboys.
My Cowboys.
I mean,
yeah.
the horns might be back. The star.
Are you hooking the horn?
I mean, the star is
hook 'em
back.
Cowboys.
Hook 'em Cowboys. Whatever we got to say. Can we make a star with our hands?
I have
or
that
something?
too. I promise you. The Cowboys can be great, but here's my caveat.
Uh-oh.
I don't trust McCarthy at all.
Well,
he'll blow it. He'll blow it, Bryant. I'll be here for you.
I hope
you know
are.
I will.
Yeah, I know you will. You've been there for me every other year, so I don't know why this year would be any different.
I'll give you guys one that's an NFL
please.
hit. And it starts with a D as well. Detroit. There's something different in Detroit.
Yeah.
Many moons ago, they would have lost that game going into overtime. But I guess with the coach from his first year saying he's biting kneecaps and coming for you, in my humble opinion, I just think there's something different.
Scared me in that playoff game, though.
No, yeah. No.
It was there for the Lions to go to the Super Bowl. How many times are they going to get back around to there? I have one for Darian's team, Kyle Usyk. He will bring back the fullback position league-wide. He's doing his best Tom Rathman imitation.
Yes, he was really good last night and was kind of a story for them last year that was making plays out there.
That wheel route, what a
my goodness!
design.
Oh my! And the play, Brett, I don't know if you saw it broke down. That play initially was a run play where they blew up the outside linebacker. So now you turn it into an offensive passing play where you're faking like you're going to block them and use checks just fly straight past. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. But like I said, I think that's all senior. I think that's senior Shanahan. I think we're giving Kyle a lot of credit, but I think that's a lot senior.
That's a good point.
You got to take it where you can get it.
You take it where you can get it. But like you said, when your dad has an office in the building, I think
Super Bowl winner.
Oh yeah.
Something else that I know, and unfortunately that I know it now. The Panthers are still the Panthers. I thought we would see improvements this year. I thought they would play better. Darian has it written down. I thought year 2 Bryce Young was going to look different. I don't really blame
Has Bryce Young gotten smaller?
Well,
it looked it. How'd that happen?
I mean, there's
They're
a lot
all
of big
big.
guys. There's a lot of big guys in the SEC, Brett. But now you're in
They're
a
even
league
bigger in
of
the NFL.
grown men.
Because it's the Shield.
It is absolutely the
3 straight
Shield.
years #1 pick. We can call it now.
But
we can call it.
Oh, you're on full bust?
Yeah, they're full.
Wow.
They're done. They're
Holy
toast.
cow.
You give up 47 points. They score.
And I don't think the
Is
Saints
he
are that
done?
good.
He's done. Yeah, I think Carson
Wow.
Beck. Yeah, he's done. Yeah, you get him out of there. You get him out of
Wow.
there.
Holy cow.
Ooh, wow.
Interesting. I didn't want to go that far.
I think he's done.
All right, I'll go back to a #1 pick.
Okay.
Derek Carr looked like a #1 pick
Sure
on
did.
Sunday, and he needed to.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler's really pushing him for starting quarterback. That's
Yeah.
hard to believe.
Well, it's very hard to believe, but
That's a cry for help somewhere,
well,
isn't it?
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the Saints are a very good team. Like, they're even after they put up 47
Well, they
points.
trucked them.
I'm not sitting here like, oh man, look out for the Saints. I think
It
it's
was
just the
30 to
Panthers
nothing,
are bad.
about as fast as the Cardinals were down 5 to nothing Sunday.
You're absolutely right. I mean, that game was over before it even started.
But therefore, that's why you go back to Carolina. I think it's more of it feels like the Arizona deal. When you move off Josh Rosen in order to get Kyle, I think that's what's happening in Carolina quickly.
Did I see a Josh Rosen story that he's getting his MBA at
Really?
Penn?
Oh, I'm looking at this at Penn. Holy
Yeah.
cow! Oh my
Yeah.
god!
They said he was always smart.
Yeah,
they
I
said he was
remember
always
all the
brilliant.
stories
but
about him being really smart.
really smart. Yeah. Also a smart Alec too.
Isn't his dad? I think maybe his dad is like a Hollywood agent to the Stars, something like
Really?
that.
I did not know that. Interesting.
I thought that. I think that.
Yeah, you're right. He is enrolled at Penn
Ivy League
in
man.
the School of Business.
Okay.
How about that? There's also another Joshua Rosen that works at J.P. Morgan that I just pulled up his LinkedIn because I thought it might be that Josh Rosen already got a job.
I don't know if he went undergrad or MBA at Penn, but Congressman Harold Ford from Memphis went to Penn.
Really interesting.
And went to Michigan. He went one undergrad, one law school, and I don't know which. What was it? But
interesting.
Way to go, Josh Rosen. Chosen one. Chosen Rosen.
One. Chosen Rosen. How about that? Oh, man. He very quickly was shown that he was a bust. My last thing that I know now, Baltimore has two really good tight ends. We knew about Mark Andrews, but what Isaiah Likely did in that game Thursday night against the Chiefs, 111 yards and a touchdown. Could have been 2 touchdowns.
Except for a toe.
Maybe
you changed the tape. You changed the tape from black to white tape, and they can't tell. It has to be irrefutable. Change the tape.
I like that. I was going to
say
they'll
run a lot of 2 tight ends too.
Tighter cleats, but I guess the tape could be one. You're right. They're going to run a lot of 2 tight ends, and then there's going to be a lot of defenses going, what do we do? Do we cover Andrews or do we cover Likely? Both can get you. So that was really impressive, even though it was a loss to the Chiefs. I came away pretty impressed with that Ravens team and
I'm glad you
and the
said
weapons
that
they have.
because not many quarterbacks can make that drive. Lamar is still awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He's not quite, your pocket quarterback or whatnot,
Sure.
but not many quarterbacks can make that drive in the fourth quarter in Arrowhead.
Oh, yeah.
And to make the throw, like I said, just a toe off.
Exactly. I mean, they were that close to send this game to overtime, but thought some really good things from the weekend, but we need to get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for unlimited range time. Free gun rentals with purchase of ammo and members lounge access. Top Gun 2770 Whitten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always shoot with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
Hi, it's the Herd. Touchdowns matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and the code is HERD, always HERD, H-E-R-D, for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. And get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium on us. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For eligibility terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill and I buy houses.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. For nearly roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we are honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we just experienced in the Mid-South compromises even the best-built roof system. Whether we find damage or not, your photos are securely stored for future reference. Call Brian Elder Roofing today for a total evaluation of your entire roof system free. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. Call me at 901-867-0303. That's 901-867-0303. Or visit us online at brianelderroofing.com.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. They're still trying to clean up a couple of wrecks we had out here earlier. It is trying so hard to get busy again over here on 240 East up by Poplar. Still looks clear on 240 right when you get on to 385 Bill Morris Parkway going outbound. It got a little bit crowded a few minutes ago going outbound on Sam Cooper as you head back towards the interstate. Hey, make a difference by adopting a pet at the Humane Society of Memphis and Shelby County. Check out the animals that are up for adoption right now by logging on to memphisHumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
I thought this was a very interesting big number from last night's Monday Night Football game. I guess my big number will be the number 200. The 49ers are the only NFL team in the Super Bowl era to have a 200-yard passing game from their quarterback, obviously, a 125-yard rushing game, a 50-yard receiving game, and an interception from 4 players who were drafted 200th or later or weren't drafted at all. So
great number.
San Francisco making
Lee
a lot
Corso
happen.
double yo
That's
on that.
insane.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my favorite stat from Monday Night Football.
That's a good one. I'm going to go with a Monday Night Football stat number 32-19. No, not 3,219, but last night's final score. Scoregami. First time in NFL history a game fell on 32-19.
Little scoregami.
Unbelievable. There have been 3 32-18 games in NFL history, but last night was the first 32-19. Remember, I told Bo Marchant that I've been to a 32-18 game. I saw Eric Dickerson and Craig James and SMU in Fayetteville in 1981. They won 32-18, and that's odd. But college, now with the NFL, with all the 2-point plays that people go for, and then last night all the Money Moody kicks.
Oh man,
we're falling. I mean, we're outside our 14-10, our 17-14, our 28-24 games. We've moved on from that. We're falling on really goofy scores.
Yeah, no, that's a good point by you because Moody, I mean, it felt like every drive Moody was jogging out there to knock down a field goal.
Brian, I promise you, 2 years ago when I went to Michigan at Ohio State, pregame, it was artistry what he did pregame. It was really like a show. I mean, both hashes down the middle. Making it fade, making it drop, whatever kick he needed to do. It was like a request line for a DJ. He could do it pregame.
Oh, that's great. No, he was awesome last night.
Brian, I may have a number for you.
Please.
Number 60.
I love numbers.
Number
Okay.
60.
60.
Yep. You want to know what that was?
Number 60. I'm not sure. No, what is it?
I placed a bet that there would be at least a 160-yard field goal in week 1. There was one by the Dallas Cowboys.
How about that?
But then Timeout was called. I'm like, what happened? And it actually went in. No, I think they called false start and they pushed you guys back. They did. Yeah. So you guys actually.
Well, no, it was delayed game.
That's what it delayed. You guys were in there because I guess the broadcasters were like, hey, are they going to try 70-yard?
They should have.
But you guys gave me the win, and then you snatched it back from me. So I got no money from that. Well, that's very cruel.
Gaming is cruel.
Very cruel.
Since we're talking about field goal kickers, I wanted to bring this up yesterday and then completely forgot about it. So I am helping out with the Christian Brothers broadcasts this year, and Eli Savoy does all the games. I'm helping out on the production side. And Friday night, they were playing Brentwood Academy. They came down to play Christian Brothers. The backup kicker for Brentwood Academy kicked a 59-yard field goal to go into the half. It was incredible.
We had it.
Because I'm sitting there, and I'm doing a lot on the computer, so I'm not really – I'm paying attention to the game, but not super close. And Eli's like, yeah, here comes the backup kicker. And he goes, this looks like a 59-yarder. And so I stand up. I'm like, I got to watch this.
He bummed it.
Nails it.
Yeah.
I mean, would have gone in at 61.
Had no idea that was the backup. We actually had that on Friday Football Fever.
Oh, y'all were rolling. Good job.
So we had it, but I never knew that was the backup.
Yeah, well, it was weird. They were going like back and forth. So maybe it's not like first string backup. Maybe they just intertwined. And I can't remember who, but the starting kicker there is like the son of like an NFL Hall of Fame kicker or something like that. And I don't remember now who it was, but it was
Hall of Fame. I don't know if
I don't know. I think I heard Hall of Famer, but I don't know.
Morton Anderson never kicked for the Titans.
I don't know who. Brett, you could throw every name at me. I wouldn't remember.
There aren't many kickers in the Jan Stenerud.
No. But maybe it wasn't a Hall. Maybe he just said great. I don't remember. But he's a good kicker, and I think has offers to play.
Is it Al Del Greco's son? Al Del Greco's in the Nashville area.
Brett, I'll be honest.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Yep, Del Greco.
I'll look it up. I'll see if I can look it up at the break and figure it out. But
that was awesome. That was the backup.
Sure was. Yeah.
Wow.
It was insane. It was incredible. Their quarterback's a Tennessee commit, so it was a lot of
That's Coach
guys.
McIntyre's son.
That's right. Yes, it absolutely is.
Who is head coach at FIU.
Yeah, so it was some really impressive guys out there Friday night in a.
So the quarterback now he's slender, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's got to put some weight on, doesn't he?
He's got to put some weight on. Good size. I mean, he's in terms of height, he's probably 6'4",
well, 6'5",
6'6". So yeah, no, he's needs to maybe bulk up a little bit, but he looked like a high level quarterback for sure. But definitely a guy that you can bring him in and develop him for a couple years.
Where's the kicker going?
I have no idea.
Anywhere he wants.
I guess after that, I'd say a lot of offers.
La Liga, he'll probably be over.
Exactly. Yes.
Right up there with this era of quarterback play being high school kicking's way past what it used to be.
It absolutely is.
Now you can still go to some. You can go to some that.
Sure.
Just go for two. Don't even try it.
For 100%. I remember being on some teams.
The better soccer programs is the better place kicking.
And that's what happened when I was at Houston. A really good soccer program over there, and they made some calls and said, look, let's get some of these guys out here. Y'all want to be kickers? And a couple said absolutely. But no, that was really, really interesting to see Friday night. But let's go ahead and wrap up this second hour and get to a break. And when we come back, we'll talk some NFL with Bo Marchant.
or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square. Fun, friendly, exciting, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs for all your favorite games, 24 taps for all your favorite beers, including NA and local craft beers, and an in-front-of-the-wall full bar for all your other favorite beverages, including a full wine list. And in an upscale menu, patio seating, daily specials, and events, and you found all your sports in the one right place. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square, Highway 70.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia, to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 per person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. National Football League talk every Tuesday with Bo Marchant, covering the NFL Draft at collegetopro.com and the NFL Draft Bible, covering the Steelers for Sports Illustrated, living and running in Eastern Ohio, and on Twitter X at Bo Marchant. Here's Bo with Bryant and Brett.
Bo Marchant joins us every Tuesday to talk the NFL. And Bo, I mean, how could anybody start anywhere other than Dallas with what they did over the weekend? Sunday morning, Dak gets his contract, which I don't know, maybe too much money for Dak, but who cares? Because they go out and dominate the Cleveland Browns Sunday afternoon. What'd you make of what you saw from the Cowboys?
I think it was a perfect segue to the season for them, especially hours after the Dak signing. You imagine if Dak and the Cowboys sign that contract and the day doesn't go the way it does, what would we be talking about right now? Wow, they gave him the money. McCarthy needs to be fired, but it was a perfect afternoon. The defense was just outstanding. And I know Jedrick Wells and Jack Conklin for the Browns, the tackles weren't playing, but nonetheless, the defense was superior and the offense clicked. They made mincemeat of Jim Schwartz's defense, and there's no excuses there for the Cleveland Browns. They just they really dominated on both sides of the football.
The Cowboys did. They really looked good, and the whole day set up perfectly for them. You just tweeted that you were joining us, and I promise you way back at 3:15, my top story of the day, the NFL looks a lot like it ended last year. We're kind of right back to KC and San Francisco, aren't we, Bo?
Yeah, at least after week one, you can't say, well, they look like they've gotten worse and they don't look like they're the right team. Especially I think the Chiefs, they took on a real heavyweight and the Baltimore Ravens. The Jets are a team that, it's all expectations and potential. They haven't delivered it yet. And I thought of all the games that I was most excited about, and I elaborated a little bit last week, is I thought the Jets had so much to prove coming out last night, and they just never got their feet underneath them. It was a slow game to begin with, and just slowly the body punches by the Niners kept coming, and eventually they just kind of put the Jets away where you just know it was a one-sided contest. Probably somewhere, I think, at least in my mind, somewhere near the middle of the second quarter, you just kind of knew where this game was going to go. And it ended up kind of not being a blowout, but you just knew the Jets were never going to be in it in the second half.
One of my biggest takeaways from last night's game was the Jets got to get Hassan Reddick's deal done. They were very clearly missing him on the defensive side of the ball, but now after that, I mean, it feels like Hassan Reddick has a lot of leverage now of, hey, you saw what happened without me out there. Do you think we see some resolution soon between the Jets and Reddick?
I wish I knew. It seems just like an ugly situation. And you got to think about this. He's never been there. He hasn't ate with his team. He hasn't been at the facility. Yeah. This was just a trade. So, he hasn't driven the practice yet. It's just the idea of them getting him done. And I know he's a professional guy. He's played at a high level for most of his career. So it's not, but there's just the nuances, getting is he in game shape, learning the playbook. I know it's quick things to pick up, but that's a lot to get under your seat, in a quick amount of time, especially with, where we're in the season. And I believe the the broadcast last night towards the end of the game said 8 straight scoring drives, I believe, by the Niners. I believe. And I just thought that was an amazing statistic because, the Jets last season, we knew the offense was dysfunctional and they were going to kind of have the defense carry them. But last night, the defense had no answers for Kyle Shanahan's offense. And, the offense had no answers to the 49ers defense. So I didn't take anything positive out of the Jets. And put it this way, Brian, if I'd be more depressed as a Browns fan or a Jets fan, I'd be more depressed as a Jets fan. At least the Browns, Watson's a train wreck. You know you don't have any tackles. You know what I mean? At least there's a lot. I mean, the Jets were going in there with no excuses last night. And leaving Hassan Reddick, they lost Tufts to the Eagles, and then they traded for Reddick, but nonetheless, I mean, they had everybody going into that game. There was no excuses. The hype of Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall was healthy, Garrett Wilson, they were ready to roll, and they came up with a big game. So I think the most disappointing team for me, even if they would have lost competitively, they didn't even lose competitively. They got beat up on both sides of the ball. And to me, absent of the kickoff, they were never in that game last night.
Bo, I've got a theory. I want to run it by you. Ran it by Darian pre-show. I don't know if I cut Brian in on this. But especially when we go to 18 games. But even now at 17 games, only one team gets a bye. So when we go to 18 games, are we going to have some teams, if we start 1-2, no big deal? Are we already there? Or is some of this for some teams a mindset, let's just get really right, get cooking as the year rolls on?
Brett, I can't believe you mentioned that because there was a point last night where I'm just thinking about the game of football, and I'm like, are we almost going to have where it's almost like not starting pitchers where you got 5 in the rotation, but are you going to actually expect your backup to maybe play a couple games? Kyle Shanahan said, if it was a playoff game, McCaffrey would have played. All right, we don't know that. It's easy to say after the fact because we would have never known, and we didn't know prior to that he wasn't going to play. But now you're saying, listen, you knew that, you were that confident week 1 that without McCaffrey you were going to win this game. I mean, that's a lot. That says a lot. You think so? I don't buy much into that statement, but nonetheless, I agree with you. I do think a lot of what you said. I think we could see some residue of that as we move forward to an 18-game schedule. So, having these guys available for the duration of the season is hard enough. I mean, look at Jordan Love's already going to miss time. Listen, it's a violent sport. Guys are going to get hurt. It's been like that since the dawn of the game. It's not going to change. But nonetheless, the more that these guys are playing at a high energy, not preseason or not practicing, and you lengthen the schedule, I'm not a mathematician. It just seems like the odds of getting hurt would increase.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Jordan Love's going to miss some time. It looks like, avoided major injury, but will miss some weeks. Malik Willis came into that game and threw one incomplete pass, got sacked the final play of the game, so I think in there are only 2 plays. what does Green Bay do? It sounds like they're going to go with Malik Willis, but I know they've reached out to Ryan Tannehill on maybe trying to sign him and to bring him in. What do these next couple of weeks look like at the quarterback position for Green Bay?
Well, Matt LaFleur and the Packers are crossing their fingers, hoping that Malik Willis can somehow manage this and navigate this team through this absence of Jordan Love. And if Malik Willis isn't equipped to doing that, then they have to go back to the drawing board and bring somebody else in. And we saw that last year with Cleveland with the quarterback situation before they brought Flacco in. You're going to kind of go with what you have, hope that it works. But if something happens where it doesn't pan out, then, you got to hit the waiver wire, maybe bring in a Ryan Tannehill or make a trade for another team's backup. So, it's a weird predicament. And, again, the length of his absence, who knows? Maybe they can go, 4 games without him. Maybe, worst case scenario, you go 2-2. But, if you're looking at 0-3 going into another week, 0-2, and you just know this kid isn't getting it, and Malik Willis, then maybe you have to change the status quo and bring another guy in. But if he plays well, then you're thrilled, and you just and I think moving forward, the Packers think, well, okay, we have a nice insurance piece. If Love should go down again, at least we have a guy that can kind of pick us up off the mat and carry us through a few rounds.
That was a Mike Tomlin signature win on Sunday. Just go out there with very limited game plan. It's no knock on Justin Fields, but that was a high school offensive game plan. Just don't do anything to lose it. Try to just keep the car between the lines, ride it out, and let T.J. Watt let him do his thing and get out of there with a win. And they got it accomplished. And now we're wondering if they have to try to do it again this week. That can't last, but it worked for 1 week.
It worked. That's just the mantra of the Steelers. Just win ugly. Whenever you have to. And I obviously I've been covering this team a long time. I've never seen a fighter performance by Watt. Now, granted, the Falcons didn't do themselves any favors from letting him just tee off on Caleb McGrary on the right side, but it was almost if it was a prize fight, they would have stopped it. It was just embarrassing. But they threw Kyle Pitts in there for a couple chip blocks, but nonetheless, he was just a man on fire Sunday. And it looks like Fields. I think Fields will play or start this week in Denver. Tomlin said at the press conference today, they're going to go through the process like they did last week. But I think this somehow worked in the Steelers' favor where you're going to go into the season with Russell Wilson, and I believe he should be the starter. But you got the young guy in Fields, and now they get the opportunity to stick with him because, one, he played well. He was efficient. He made the plays when he had to. He did not turn the ball over. And then you get to kind of get a good sample size. And if he does flounder, then you can go to Wilson. But long term, I think they're going to know what they have in him moving forward because he's a young guy, ton of potential, and they were eager to see him play. But they're also eager to be competitive. So that's why they were going with Wilson at the top of the bat. But with that said, Justin Fields played exactly had to have to kind of manage the game and did everything he was asked. Harris, I thought, ran hard. He always does. But Watt and that defense, they were really on another level Sunday.
Yeah. A lot was made over the offseason about these rookie quarterbacks. We saw 3 of them in week 1. Caleb Williams, 14 for 29 for 93 yards. Jaden Daniels, 17 for 24 for 184 yards. He also ran for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Bo Nix, 26 for 42 for 138 yards and 2 interceptions. What did you make of the play from the 3 first-round quarterback picks?
Well, you know what? I NFL Plus. I did the condensed version, and I watched all 3 games this morning. So it's my favorite part of the day is kind of getting to watch these guys. You know what? I don't give a negative grade on all these, on none of them. Williams, you wish the numbers were a little better for being the first round pick, but I thought they set him up in some weird. It was always like a run on first and second, and they were
winning's the object, isn't it?
Yeah, winning's the option, and so I think I don't know. He made some plays and he showed you what he can be, and I don't think I wouldn't put a negative. Was he wonderful? No, he wasn't. And then Jaden Daniels of the Commanders, you see him, once he hits that pocket in the run game, he just picks up giant chunks of yards, and it will come for him. He threw over, he threw a deep ball to Terry McLaurin that he overthrew him by several yards where he never had a chance. But, all quarterbacks do that. But I think if you're Washington, you're pleasantly happy. You have a guy under center that they probably haven't had in years that has a pulse, and there's an upside. And then Bo Nix, not the greatest day, wasn't highlight film reel that we saw during the preseason, but nonetheless, now we're in real action. That's not the vanilla defenses that we're going to see during the preseason. Now it's real time, and these defenses are going to kind of do all the trickery that you don't see during the preseason. But nonetheless, I think if you're any of those franchises, you feel happy with the way Week 1 went. And for the Bears, you got to be really excited that somehow the Tennessee Titans blew that game, and the Bears and Caleb Williams were somehow able to kind of walk away with the victory.
Yeah, and they get the win, and I think that in the end that's really all that matters, and the improvement will come. We saw the improvement week to week to week last year from C.J. Stroud. I don't think any of them are going to have a year like he had last year, and now he's got help with Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs around him, go on the road and win that game. We all recognize what DeMeco Ryans is building.
Yeah, that was a big win, competitive game against the Colts, and they were strong. And Mixon, the way that they were able to kind of feed him and establish a run game, if that's something that they can lean on moving forward through this season, we know Stroud and that receiving core is lights out dynamic, but now you have a guy like Mixon in the backfield where you just kind of add another level, another dimension to that Texans offense that's pretty potent. That's a scary thing to think about long-term during the season and the potential, playoffs when, you want to get those gritty yards. You got to play tougher football. A guy like Mixon, and he's proved it in his past. I mean, he's a heck of a player for the Bengals, but, he just kind of, they wanted to go in another direction. They don't want to play an older guy a lot of money, and he found a new home in Houston. So I'm sure he's thrilled, and I'm sure the Texans are thrilled. And long-term, what Ryans is doing after one season and moving forward in conjunction with having a standout young quarterback in Stroud, it's going to be a positive thing, I think, for Houston for a couple years now to come.
I'll be very honest, Bo. I did not watch much of the Panthers and Saints game. I'll be even more honest. I didn't have any interest in really watching the Panthers and Saints game. So when I ask this, I'm genuinely asking this question. Are the Saints better than I thought they would be before the season started, or are the Panthers just really bad?
I think the Saints might be a little bit better than what you might have thought, but then they're playing the Panthers, so it's rose-colored glasses. If you're a Saints fan, those rose-colored glasses, you think you didn't take down the Chiefs and Mahomes, you took down Bryce Young and the Panthers. So put it this way, I think it's the way you win against teams that you should dominate, and I think the way that the Saints went about that game and the way that they won it is just a good sign, because we could be talking today where a team that not a lot of people believe in with Derek Carr and the Saints, maybe they would go and they play the Panthers week 1, and maybe it's a 21-20 win or a 13-10 win, where they're just it's not pretty. They're struggling, and maybe if the Panthers could have had a few plays go their way, the Saints are 0-1, but that wasn't the case. Dennis Allen had that team primed, and I just think they did some things within the coaching staff, and they did a lot of things, I think, in the offseason to help improve the product that we see. And Derek Carr is one of those quarterbacks, probably is never going to win a Super Bowl, but he's a guy that, right when you count him out, maybe like a Baker Mayfield, they kind of play their best football, and right when you think you kind of want to welcome them back into their good graces, they somehow disappoint you. So, big win, though, for the Saints. That's a good, tough division. The Buccaneers are 1-0, so, you got 2 0-2 teams in the Falcons and Panthers, but if we've come to learn over the years, that division is usually very, very tight where, all three of them are going to have the same exact record in the final week.
Week 2 matchup will be the Buccaneers 1-0 with Baker Mayfield going to 1-0 Detroit Lions. Not many times these teams meet undefeated.
Yeah, we got 6 undefeated meeting this week, Brett, and we got 6 winless teams meeting. So it's going to take a big chunk of those undefeated this week. But Baker played great. I mean, 4 touchdowns and just right off, and watching the Daniels play quarterback for the Commanders, I was watching Baker do his thing, and just a lot of nice plays, big plays, Godwin, Evans, the rookie from Bama, and McLaughlin. I mean, just nice plays. But the Lions, they had I don't want to leave the show without saying I thought Stafford Thursday night was one of the finest games I think I've ever seen him play. There's a few moments where I'm in awe of what the guy's doing, and that's the way I looked at it. I know he threw the end zone INT, and that was a critical play, but a depleted line against that front of Detroit, and kind of just Puka left the game, and he just operated. It seemed like every snap he knew exactly what he had to do to perfection, and they had the lead, went into overtime, weren't able to pull it out, but nonetheless, the Lions, they're going to be right there at the end. We know that, but I kudos though to that Rams team and Sean McVay. Very impressed on both sides of the football. A lot of young new faces. No Aaron Donald, and they took the Lions to overtime week one, and a lot of people got the Lions winning it all. So it's a loss, but like the opposite of the Jets. The Jets just got they had no chance. At least the Rams put it there, and they were in a position to win.
And the leader for weird play of the year so far, on the play that Puka Nacua got hurt on, Stafford got nicked up, and the left tackle got nicked up on. 3 critical players all injured on one play, on an incompletion.
I know. It was hard to keep track of it all. And it was funny because, Puka left, we didn't know until, afterwards that he kind of got dinged up, and, you're like, okay, and they're kind of feeding you the information as the game's going on, and yeah, weird circumstances, and after they lost their left tackle, Hutchinson really started to tee off on Stafford, and he had to adjust, and I think that's what kind of he knew that INT was a bad throw, but he had he had a choice, but that pressure was coming, and he just fired it away. But Brett, listen, and Brian too. This particular week of football, I really, really enjoyed. I think I've seen 7 games. I've watched the Sunday games, and I watched 4 of the condensed ones. But I just really like the game that I'm seeing this year. I just very just excited. The quarterbacks, the rookies, they weren't bad. Were they great? Were they Stroud? No, but they weren't complete busts at this point. So there's hope still. And the Patriots upsetting the Bengals. I just thought there was a lot of good storylines. J.K. Dobbins rushing for 135.
And Dobbins, yeah.
Yeah, Harbaugh. And I mean, I just, some good stories, I just thought it was a good week one where there was more positives than negatives, a lot to be excited about. If you're almost any franchise, not everyone, but, but I just thought it was a great week one, a great way to start the season.
Yeah, well, all the positive things. Another negative from the weekend was what happened in New York with the Giants. They only put up 6 points against the Vikings after an offseason where, and if you watch Hard Knocks, Joe Shane made it very clear that he made the decision to stick with Daniel Jones. We saw the video of him leaving the stadium to a bunch of fans that had stayed to boo him. There was the quotes from Malik Neighbors where he was saying, I don't really know what was happening in the backfield with our quarterback, but I was open. How bad could things get in New York?
I think they can get worse. I really do. I mean, you're talking about a team they're going to be fighting hard to avoid not picking first in next year's draft, put it that way. So,
wow.
And I have been one of the biggest advocates and apologizers for Jones and the Giants and everything that they've done over the years. But for me, you have to do something at the quarterback position. And like you said, I think there's a point, even with Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, where you just know it's not working. It's a bad relationship. And the Browns are really in a hard place because of the contract. Absent of the contract, Watson wouldn't be the guy right now. I mean, that's that simple. But for Jones, they gave him the money last year. Not the type of money that, Watson got in the guaranteed cash, but sometimes it just might, how like the Broncos just sat Russell Wilson just to avoid, the money. Maybe something like that where they just move on and they put Tommy DeVito, kind of the local hero and the Italian vibe, and just, even if they lose, they feel good. They feel good. Yeah, they feel good though.
I'm glad they feel good because they're not going to win anything with it.
They're not winning, but I guess it's
vibes, man, vibes. That's all we got to have now is vibes.
It's bad. It's the Giants. I do feel bad for that, just because. But put it this way, I have defended Jones and in that team beyond. But I have to
You
say,
have. Brian Dayball,
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. Jones, if I ever come on the air with you guys again and say anything positive about them, and then just hit the mute button and just never welcome me back.
No, Bo, we'll do that. And the Giants and the Jets don't meet this year, so they can't have the battle for futility in the apple.
No, they cannot.
Yeah.
It's also it's a big difference from a quarterback struggling in Carolina and a quarterback struggling in New York. They'll let you know. The fans,
when they stay to boo you
alike.
after the game, they're serious about it.
No, it's a little bit different in terms of those fan bases. But, Bo, like you said, was a really, really fun week 1 in the NFL. Hopefully week 2 can live up to what week 1 was. Thanks so much for joining us again, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
Absolutely, guys. Stay safe.
Thanks, Bo.
Bo, thank you so much. Bo Marchant with us talking the NFL every Tuesday. And it was a great week 1, and we get it again starting Thursday night. Don't get the Friday night game this week. A lot of people really complaining about the playing surface down in Rio.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't get to see a ton of that game. But it was doesn't surprise me that there were some complaints down there. But you know what, Brett? You say we don't get a game on Friday. That just means one more game on Sunday. So
that's right.
Got to look at everything positively, glass half full approach. More football on Sunday. I will never complain about, but definitely some good stuff.
And who knew that the playing surface, the NFL players prefer it cut differently than soccer.
Yeah, that's fascinating because I know what was the big thing when Messi started going around and playing at all of these MLS stadiums and some of the teams play in NFL stadiums, some play at college stadiums, and like the turf, like soccer players don't like the turf, and they're like, there's no way Messi plays on this turf because it can mess up his knee, and so that is, I mean, it's so fascinating to me how between turf and grass and different styles of grass and everything, just how, I guess, particular people are about the playing surfaces that they're playing on. But yes, that doesn't surprise me that we had some controversy about the playing surface in Brazil.
Approaching dinner time and a couple of great locations for Jason's Deli. I promise you one close to you wherever you are in our area, over across from MUS, not far from us, on Ridgeway, over by the University of Memphis at Poplar and Highland, down in Olive Branch, out in Cordova. All those great locations with over 200 area associates working so hard for you, bringing more to the table. It's a family thing at Jason's Deli, and it's approaching dinner time. For breakfast, lunch, dinner, they have you covered. They have you covered for a catering event, anything you may be having with a back-to-school deal, maybe a workshop at the office, maybe a retreat at the office. Let them take care of it, a variety of delicious choices for breakfast, lunch, dinner, all-day meals for groups of 5 or 5,000. Same-day and last-minute orders welcome. If you feel like you don't have your event planned properly, step aside, let Jason Deli take over. Whether you're dining in, you're getting it to go, or you're getting it delivered, wholesome food forever. It's a family thing at Jason's Deli. Just for the catering. At breakfast time, the Sunshine Breakfast Box, the Hot Wrap Breakfast Box. At lunchtime, the Pasta Feast. Dinner time, the Plain Jane Potato Bar. It's anything but plain at Jason's Deli. Healthy, first franchise in the nation to be trans fat free. Plenty of organic food to choose from. In all those locations, that great salad bar with over 30 items for you to prepare that salad however you would like. Catering, anytime, anywhere, 5 or 5,000. And in these locations, like down in Cordova, or down in Olive Branch, out in Cordova, Poplar and Highland by the University of Memphis, or over on Ridgeway Road across from US, the complimentary free ice cream. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Traffic brought to you by 901 Eats to Go, 3135 Kirby Whitten Road in Bartlett. Pick up, DoorDash, Uber Eats, or online at 901eats.com. Eats with the Z. Good food fast.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Get your tailgate season going now and win a free tailgate package from Buster's Butcher. Stop in Buster's Butcher, 199 South Highland Street, and register to win Ice Mule Cooler, 4 Yeti Coasters, a $200 gift certificate, and some Buster's branded swag. Tailgate package valued at $500, no purchase necessary, 1 entry per person. Winner drawn 10 a.m. October 1st. Buster's Butcher offering the finest selection of curated meats, cheeses, prepared foods, and more. Learn more at bustersbutcher.com.
You've heard of James Gannis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything. A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. We got to talk about what's trending, and there's a handful of things that we could talk about. And one thing, and I'm going to bring it back up later during what I could have done without, but we've kind of made references to it throughout the show, but haven't really talked about it today. Deshaun Watson has another civil case out against him. This was brought up yesterday. I guess it was yesterday afternoon. I think I first started to see the tweets about this story probably in our second or third hour, but because we were doing show, I could not really look at the details of that story. But another sexual assault allegation against Deshaun Watson. The story's out there. The details in the story are not fun to read. They are not easy to read. And if you want to see them, you can go and read the story, because I do not want to talk about the details in there. But some really, really sick stuff, if true. And now the NFL is reviewing the latest civil lawsuit. So, Deshaun Watson, from everything we have heard from the last couple of years, not a good dude. And it looks like just more and more terrible stuff coming out about him.
It is, and that stand alone. If he were leading a team to a Super Bowl and he was all pro and the toast of the town, I don't think you could afford to have that around. But the football aspect shouldn't matter. And I think they're gonna approach the end of him soon.
Yeah, and it's definitely,
and he's wrecked them.
Yeah, he absolutely has. It's incredible. I mean,
they did the deal, though.
And all of this stuff, not this story, but there was plenty of stories already out there about Deshaun Watson when they made the decision to make this deal. So you're absolutely right. This is not, look at Deshaun Watson, the con artist, able to convince a team that he's going to be all right and
buyer beware.
Yeah, no, I mean, they had plenty of, I remember everybody talking about it like, ooh, the Browns taking this risk with Deshaun Watson. And then it was like, okay, all of that's behind him. Let's just move forward.
Now, strictly on the field, after the first few years, he was ahead of C.J. He was at least comparable with where C.J. Stroud is after 1 year, wasn't he?
No, absolutely.
I mean, we thought he was going to be star, national champion quarterback.
Superstar. I mean, he was on his way to being
the cornerstone of the Texans.
I mean, he was on his way to being one of the biggest quarterbacks in the league. and then injuries
Texans
first got in the
moved on,
way.
didn't they?
And good for them, and injuries played a role early in his career, but then now all of this comes out,
and they probably had the most intel
Sure.
there on the scene in Houston.
Sure, and made that business decision of, hey, let's cut our ties with this guy and tell him to get lost. And now it seems like the Browns probably going to do the exact same, which I hope they do after reading that story last night.
Yeah, he won't get touched by anybody else. He's done.
No. He is done. He has wrecked his career, and I hope if this stuff is true that more comes out of it. But just not a fun story to read yesterday.
Brett, to make it worse, you say he was probably neck and eye with C.J. Stroud. 2019, Deshaun Watson was the betting favorite to win MVP.
Yeah, I mean he was
he was up there.
The guy.
Up there.
Good note, Darren. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy.
On his way.
Oh, certainly. And now, hopefully, I'll be honest. Hopefully, doesn't play football anymore after this story has come out.
No, and you see headlines right now that Adam Silver's acknowledging interest in NBA expansion. Here we go.
I feel like we hear this story every 6 months.
But
Hopefully,
I think with the CBA done, it's really building.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, I hope this time it's real, because I mean it feels like for the last 2 or 3 years it's felt like you're this close to. I remember, what was it? I guess now 2 years ago that there was a rumor going around that the NBA was having a preseason exhibition game in Seattle and one in Las Vegas, and they were going to announce at both those games expansion is coming to both of these cities, and we never got it. But it's always been there. So now hopefully we get news that it feels like those are the two cities that when expansion comes, those are going to be the first two cities that get the teams.
This would be great for Keith Smith on Thursday at 4 o'clock. I just wonder, maybe announcement next summer to begin play in the 27-28 season.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, you'll get an announcement if you get an announcement this year. Probably 26 or 27.
Brian, you know the Seattle sports scene. You really do very well.
Thank you.
Is the building where the Kraken play is that suitable? Wasn't that an issue once upon a time?
I think it is suitable. It's a good arena, and I know that's where they played the preseason game. They play a lot of college basketball games. Anytime you see a marquee college basketball game in Seattle, like I know Gonzaga will do it a lot. They played Kentucky there last year. It's in Climate Pledge, and so I don't know exactly how many it seats. Now, here's the weird thing about
18-3.
it. Really? Okay, so that's
enough.
That's perfect. Here's the interesting thing about Climate Pledge Arena is it is below ground, like it goes down. When you walk in, you're at the top of the stadium.
Like
And so
Madison
you have to
Square
walk
Garden,
down.
right?
Kind of, yes. Yeah. And so, but there's a big window at one of the ends, and the sun comes through when it's setting. And I've heard plenty of goalies talk about shadows and stuff like that it makes it very tough.
Well, I bet with a puck coming at your head.
Yeah. The way,
that's a good way to lose it.
And
the grill.
The color the seats are is very confusing or something like that. So I don't know, but it does feel like if they do get a team, Climate Pledge is where they would play.
In Seattle and Vegas, it'd just be stunning if it's not those two. I think the real intrigue, the real surprise, maybe not roll out for the same start, same year for all four, but maybe the blockbuster announcement next summer of 2 now and 2 later and start getting ready.
Yeah, that'd be interesting because it's weird how all the rollouts happen, and I don't think you want to have 4 new teams come out because, I mean, with rosters and everything, that's a lot. But I would not mind at all if you got hey, we're doing 2 now, and then maybe 4 years down the road, we're going to do 2 more and really trying to build it up. And I thought it was interesting. And, with this news, I'm sure we'll talk about it again with Keith on Thursday. But what he brought up about Mexico City being a real possibility for the NBA, they have a G League team down there, and that, Adam Silver is extremely interested in maybe having a team outside.
It's a long way to go.
States.
It's a long way from Houston.
Yeah, no, it's and I think if you were to get an expansion team down in Mexico City, I don't think that would be this first grouping. I don't think it would be the next grouping. That would be probably, in my opinion, if you expand a third time down the road, that's probably when a Mexico City would get thrown in there.
And I got a good friend of the show. He just texted, and I agree with him. There's no way the NBA is not going to hold Seattle up for brand new bells and whistles arena.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I actually just
they're going to demand it.
I got a text from somebody listening right now that said Climate Pledge Arena is one of the premier arenas in the NHL, definitely suitable for the NBA. So, and I believe this person has been to Climate Pledge Arena, so firsthand knowledge of what that arena, what that building looks like for an NHL game. And yeah, I'm looking at these pictures. I've seen it obviously on TV. Seeing some of these pictures definitely would be good for an NBA team.
NHL started camp?
Actually, how about this, Brett? I actually got excited about an hour or so ago because I saw the roster for rookie camp for the Seattle Kraken. So we're getting started preseason around the corner.
When do we do predictions?
Oh, it's got to be soon. I think puck drops like first or second week of October. I actually had a fantasy hockey draft like 2 weeks ago. How about that?
No, you did. You're making that up.
I promise you. I have my team. Connor McDavid, first pick. How about that?
You're in a fantasy hockey league?
I am. The person that just texted me, he's in. I think he runs the fantasy hockey
Brian,
league.
I'm very impressed.
How about that? I'm not.
Did you wear your Maple Leafs sweater to it?
No, we'll see. We not in person. It was all online.
Of course,
I
nobody can really hang around each other anymore.
That's right. So fully online. I was not wearing a sweater, but I will tell you, Brett. One of the first things when this week we've gotten some good weather. A lot of temperatures in the 70s. Starting to get excited about. It's about to be sweater weather. I'm about to whip out the sweaters. And I'm about to buy a new one. I just wanted to put that out there. I'm about to buy a new
truly is how ignorant I am. How many people start in hockey?
Oh geez. It is 6.
So what did you want first? Somebody could score?
Well, I'll be honest, dirty secret, and I think everybody in my league knows this, but I was ashamed to find out because I didn't realize it until after it happened.
Dirty secret.
I logged on late, so my first pick was made
auto?
For me. It was auto drafted.
Okay.
Connor McDavid was an auto draft.
Does your goalie help you, hurt you, or you count it in? You factor it in?
Oh yeah, goalie definitely big time.
Who's your goalie?
Brett, let's not ask these questions.
All right, I got another question. So it was on auto draft. Did you have the first pick? Because was Connor? Yeah. Okay, because I was going to say who went before Connor. Okay,
that's what happened, and I didn't know I had the first pick, and so I logged on at
smart computer.
7:01, and it had already made my pick for me. I was like, oh no, but then I was like, who did I get? And it was Connor McDavid. I was like, I'm fine with that.
Okay,
but
when you said auto pick, I was like,
how many fantasy football leagues are you in, Brian?
One. I'm just in one.
Yep.
Are you in any, Darian?
Yeah, with Matt Enfield.
Yeah.
Okay. I take on Matt next week. So.
Oh, big game.
I was told today, a good friend of mine runs the league and he's in 80 leagues.
80?
80. Jerry Rice,
no
80.
Way. There's no way. How do you keep up with that many
a savant,
leagues?
a fantasy
That's
football
incredible.
Genius.
Wow.
With the invent or the creative auto draft, I think that's pretty easy. You just put it on auto draft and you just let it ride out. You can't manage those. Now, there's no way you can manage those.
That's not the fun of the draft. The fun of the draft is going and drinking in the fellowship.
I get overwhelmed.
I don't want no impersonal auto draft. Well, I bet there are some hockey leagues that there's some drinking for sure.
I believe
in some of their
I
drafts.
believe it. Yeah,
I used to look forward to the fantasy football draft much more than any New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah,
much more.
They're fun. But I'll be honest, Connor has to text me most Thursdays. Like, hey, man, set your lineup or you're going to miss out this week. And I got to get on there and set my lineup.
So the lineup is set for Thursday back to the next Thursday?
No, I think it depends on which app you use. I think some apps you have to set it on Thursday. I think others you set it on Thursday for Thursday night, but then you can go in and make changes for before Sunday.
Now are any fantasy football drafts still in person and fellowship and things like that?
Some
kind
people,
of
that's personal.
That.
That's a personal
some
call.
Some people do that, but most are just online.
Is it really just name, rank, serial number? Huh? That's no fun.
I know, the one I'm in, it's Connor and all his friends, and they needed another person, and they were like, "Come join." They were all on a call together. Like they all were
Okay.
talking to each other throughout the draft.
See,
I
that's
wasn't
fun. Yeah, that's
involved with
fun.
it. I was sitting in my room watching baseball, making picks. But like they were all, even though they weren't in person together, because some of them are at different schools, they don't live here anymore. They were all talking to each other, so it's kind of like they were together.
In person and on the call, I would assume that makes it go faster.
Sure,
that makes
yeah.
it go much
Oh,
faster.
definitely. Instead, you're just like sitting in your room
Yeah.
by yourself, like,
Yeah.
oh man,
Yeah.
12 more picks until I have another one.
I want to go to me a hockey draft some night.
Oh man, yeah, no, it is good. See, I'm kind of
It's
using.
not too late to start your one, bro.
I'm using.
too
my
late.
Yes, trust me, it is.
We could do one. How
It's
about
not this
that?
year. I
It's
wanna
not too
do
late,
one.
bro.
We could do one. Add a couple more. We could have a nice little draft. I'll be
We
honest.
could? Oh, yeah, we could, yeah.
I'm using this fantasy hockey league to learn more hockey, like learn about more players and stuff like that. Because I don't know as much about hockey.
When you're engaged,
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're really into a fantasy football league, you know
For
everything going on offense around the league.
100%. And I mean, stuff that a lot of times only insiders know because you're just so dialed in because that is your football team and you kind of treat it like you're the coach. But no, fantasy drafts are very, very fun. But we need to get to a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Quicky's Barbecue in Cordova.
Want to do something you can't do anywhere else? Then join me, your buddy Johnny Radio, at Top Gun Memphis this Thursday at 11 to 1 to experience the fully automatic machine gun package for just $99. It includes 3 different machine guns, ammo, range safety officer, and a shooting range. New to shooting or just need to learn? Top Guns Academy is nationally recognized and memberships start at just $29.95 a month. Gun rentals are only $10. Join me this Thursday at Top Gun Memphis, 2770 Witten Road.
Progressive knows finding your new home is a dream come true. You wanted it close to town with a picture window overlooking a yard. And you found it. Now when you sit down to dinner, you've got front row seats too. Your neighbor's daily pickleball game. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill and I buy houses.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. They were moving that stalled truck a few minutes ago out of the Midtown area on 240 southbound at Lamar. We're still seeing some volume over here on 240 at Mount Moriah, getting off there on the 385 Bill Morris Parkway as it cranks up finally over here on 40 eastbound from Sycamore View Road out past Germantown Parkway. All that traffic headed out into Fayette County. Hey, make a difference by adopting a pet at the Humane Society of Memphis and Shelby County. Check out the animals that are on there right now that are available for adoption. They got some cute dogs. Check them out at memphishumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, what I learned today is that it doesn't matter if Christian McCaffrey, considered one of, if not the best running backs in the National Football League, it doesn't matter if he plays against the New York Jets, who a lot of people would consider has one of, if not the best defenses in the NFL. It doesn't matter if he plays or not. They'll just move to somebody else. And last night, it was Jordan Mason. I keep wanting to call him Frank Mason. I'll get better as time. Every time I gotta stop. It's like Johnny Radio. If anybody listens to his show regularly since about the start of football season, he has really gotten Nico's last name right. But he has to stop and he has to sound it out and say it slow or he'll mess it up. So what he does every time is he'll be talking, he'll be really excited about something, he'll say it, he'll butcher it the first time, and then he'll stop himself and he'll say it slow and it rolls right off the tongue. That's like me with Jordan Mason. I keep wanting to say Frank Mason and then I slow down, I look over my computer, I see Jordan Mason, and then I keep going. But in all seriousness, he was awesome last night. Almost 150 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. That San Francisco offense did not skip a beat, and that's what makes this team so darn scary, is it really feels like it doesn't matter who's injured or who's playing, that offense is going to be rolling.
Said you can put Nate Newton in the back.
Exactly. I mean, you can put me back there at running back, and that offense would still look great, and I'd probably score a touchdown.
But Brian, quick, didn't fantasy owners get screwed yesterday with McCaffrey because you would let him all weekend? You had nobody to come back with after that. And for the most part, he was the number one pick.
Now I saw a lot of people drop him and add Jordan Mason,
yes.
But that
was too little too late. It was too little too late.
Sports bettors, I saw some people that either got on it super early when they heard the news and bet on Jordan Mason, or they, for whatever reason, had bet on Jordan Mason beforehand, and a lot of sportsbooks saying, hey, this really great number you got of Jordan Mason over 40 yards rushing, we're not going to honor that anymore because that was a messed up line or something. I mean, there's some sportsbooks out there that could be in some big trouble for what they did.
They should be.
For the Christian McCaffrey injury.
Big bad Vegas not supposed to be scared of anything, are they?
Now, some of these sportsbooks, I don't know if they're necessarily over
the most legit
in Vegas and running with all the rules that Vegas operates with. But yes, still doing shady stuff.
Yeah, they are. What I learned today, and Brent Beard touched on the tiers of the SEC. Right now, 6 out of 7 in the AP top 7, all from the SEC. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Texas. 4, Alabama. 5, Ole Miss. 6, Mizzou. 7, Tennessee. Can the SEC get 5 in the college football playoff? I think 6 is unthinkable. Mm-hmm. Can Ole Miss, Mizzou, Tennessee really get in, with Texas and that Ohio State, Georgia tier? 1 can, all 3 can't.
No, definitely not. What I could have done we mentioned it in the last segment, this Deshaun Watson story. I mean, I already thought Deshaun Watson was not a great dude after what we learned about his time at Houston. But it felt like if you wanted to listen to the people that were trying to sell sunshine and goodness for Deshaun Watson, all that's behind him. He knows he made mistakes, but he's going to come to Cleveland, and all of that's going to be behind him. But now, news stories coming out that there's more to the story. A young lady that he had been texting back and forth with. He went to her house and, sexually assaulted this girl. And now she has come out and talked about that experience. And now the NFL is reviewing this latest civil lawsuit. So who knows what happens now with Deshaun Watson. But if any of this story is true, I hope that the Cleveland Browns make a very quick decision to let him go. And I hope that
speaking of that, Brian, quickly, I want to jump in with you. Reports are saying that the Cleveland Browns have language in the contract that says if anything new arises,
good for them,
that they can possibly have an out. So back to what you said, Cleveland Browns probably
with
looking
Deshaun
for an out.
Which is also
because
sad
this is
that
a
you
new
even
case.
have to put that in a contract for a player,
But
but good for them that
it's
they
a
have
new
it.
case.
Because this was like one of the most unsurprising stories that I've seen, that Deshaun Watson has something else coming up.
Yeah, I could have done without Coach Prime after 2 games, a narrow win and a blowout loss. Already questions. Now, he's not saying it, but there are questions around him and around that program of will he opt out? Will this be it for him? Will Shedeur opt out? It's been worth it for Colorado to hire him, I think. But give me about 6 more weeks and I may change my mind.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me. Let's join David Cobb and his wife Sarah in New York City and go to the Yankees versus the Royals tonight. Both are in the postseason, but what seeds will they be? New York could be 1, they could be 4. Kansas City will either be 5 or 6. And let's stay tomorrow morning and go to the bell ringing and the commemoration and observance, the solemnity that will be at Ground Zero for the 23rd, 23 years since 9/11.
Yeah, it is insane that it's already been that long. But that's a really good pick because definitely a lot will be happening in New York over the next 24 hours. Beam me kind of close to where you'll be at, up to Washington for this game. Braves and Nationals. We talked about it earlier, but the Braves are now out of wild card standings, 1 game out behind the Mets. The Mets have been so hot, winners of 10 of their last 11, but the Braves, if they want to make the postseason, which would be incredible, if the Braves are able to finish with a wild card spot, that would just be incredible for that team with the injuries that they faced this year. But if they want to do that, they've got to continue to win games. Tonight against the Nationals will be a big one. Ronaldo Lopez has looked really good this year, a guy that they converted from the bullpen. He's 8-5 with a 2.04 ERA. He was one of the most electric pitchers earlier in the season, but we're getting to the point now that he's throwing a lot of innings. We'll see if a reliever turned starter can take all of these innings and if he can be effective tonight against the Nats.
Yeah, only 2 games impact in or out. That's Mets at Blue Jays and Braves in D.C., like you said. That's the only in or out games. Everything else is a seed game, like Orioles at Fenway against the Red Sox, and seats available at Busch Stadium for Reds and Cardinals.
Yeah, no, a lot of nothing from both of those teams, but I guess if you want to see young players, maybe. I mean, Rhett Lauder for the Reds.
I had all summer to see him in
AAA.
AAA.
I don't know, Jordan Walker, still no. Yeah, I think a lot of people are feeling the same way as you, Brett. I think it's going to be really ugly watching that game tonight and seeing all of the empty seats. But that's all the time we have today. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.
Some of the best roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we are honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we just experienced in the Mid-South compromises even the best-built roof system. Whether we find damage or not, your photos are securely stored for future reference. Call Brian Elmer Roofing today for a total evaluation of your entire roof system free. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. Call me at 901-867-0303. That's 901-867-0303.